Is this gonna be about Gamergate? Because that's all this guy talks about, isn't it? Is Stardust gonna have to face Brianna Wu's history? Because that could actually be kind of funny. Let's see. Stardust needs to lower our camera angle. So true.
Okay, so I guess, like, why don't you introduce yourself to the chat, give them, you know, kind of like a summary of who you are and, you know, what's interesting about you. And
this is the guy Wick had on, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Blue, basically just a normal person. I started out streaming, well, just after a long hiatus, started out streaming again a few months ago because I was a fan of Destiny stuff, and I was like, hey, that sounds like fun, I'll do that. Then I realized there's an opportunity to do a Gamergate book, a second book. I was going to do an encyclopedia at first, I was thinking, actually do some real content, not just, like, you know, do panels and, like, debates and stuff, but, like, try to do something I felt had a more lasting historical impact. And it's a topic I know a lot about. I had a little bit of interest, and I felt like the media did a pretty poor job, so I figured, well, I'll do that. So I started working on that. Now, during Gamergate, I got involved in early 2015, and I believe, like, the spring of 2015, because there were a lot of censorship controversies happening at the time, like the Change the Cover controversy, the Pillars of Eternity controversy, the Lionhead Studios controversy, and various others. And it felt like, it seemed to me that there was a closing of the Overton window, an attempt to stifle the artistic vision that artists had for, like, comic books and games. And I thought that might be something worth pushing back against and arguing against. So I did some live streams in the beginning, nothing too serious. I didn't have my full real name out there originally on my channel, because it was just like live streamers and Gamergate people, open houses we called them, where anybody could jump on and we'd have anti-Gamergate people on, we'd talk about it. I would debate it on Reddit and stuff too, sometimes on Twitter with people, and it wasn't like a serious thing. And then, I mean, I was pretty serious into it, but I got, like, more serious into it when I decided I wanted to make videos about it. So I started making, like, long-form videos around, like, late 2015. I started making, like, long-form videos, and it's also, like, moderate success with that. Mostly related to Gamergate stuff, sometimes in other videos too. And I also ran meetups in St. Louis. I ran multiple Gamergate and St. Louis meetups with people. I ran 2 convention panels at NatsuCon and Arch Anime about it. I was basically gonna say canceled to try and do a 3rd panel at a different convention, which is a story we can talk about if you want. But then I also did a book about Gamergate in 2019, my first book. And this is probably the last thing I'm gonna do with the Gamergate thing this book is. And then I have some other topics I want to cover.
Okay, cool. So I guess the first question I would ask is, you know, it's been quite a bit time since the events of Gamergate took place. So what made you want to continue to revisit this and then, like, write a book on it?
Well, the first time, because I was involved with Gamergate until, like, early 2018, it seemed like the movement had pretty much lost steam at that point. There wasn't a lot left to do, and there weren't many people interested in it.
This guy, Tachyon, could be so powerful. He could be so powerful, but it seems like he's too much of a pussy normie type who wants to have friends. But what he should be doing is every time he speaks to one of these fuckers, he just needs to start incessantly trying to work in the Brianna Wu talking points and talking about all the shit she fucking lied about, all the shit she did wrong, all the people she fucking slandered. He just needs to obsessively work them into every question answer. But Stars asks, why did you get into this? Why did you want to start talking about Gamergate so much? Doesn't matter if it's true. Just say, oh, well, I initially got into it when I saw Brianna Wu slandering Total Biscuit. And, you know, the reason I started writing my new book is because I saw Brianna Wu coming around Twitch poll and start paying a bunch of people loads of money. That's what his answer needs to be. That's how he would be the most powerful man in Twitch poll right now, with all of his knowledge of Gamergate. He could just be raping these people. But he's not. It's such a wasted opportunity. Who's going to read the Gamergate book? Like 5 people, I think, at this point.
As there were in the prior years. So I decided to become a content creator about politics. I was an anti-alt-right content creator for a while. I made videos critiquing the alt-right long-form video essays. And they were okay. And they're pretty good, I guess. But that's a whole, as you know, that's a whole other world to dive into. That's like, if you're trying to, like, debate, that's you have to do tons and tons and tons of research about the most obscure genetics papers. And it's a whole other ballgame. And I did that for a couple years until 2019, 2020, and I stopped doing content altogether. I graduated college before that. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on my real life and do real life stuff and not do the YouTube stuff anymore. And I obviously had tons of political anti-alt-right stuff on there, and I also had some anti-SJW stuff too, and a lot of Gamergate stuff, like hundreds of Gamergate videos and streams. And I'm like, well, I don't want an employer to find this and get the wrong idea because the media had miscovered Gamergate so bad, so I deleted almost everything, though a few things have survived. I lived my normal life up until, I guess, like a few months ago, like 4 or 5 months ago, when I decided to become a streamer and re-enter this world a little bit.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, so I guess, what was your process for selecting people to interview for your latest book?
Well, it's kind of changed a little bit over time. So in the beginning, I had a criteria where...
There's Jesse Single spoken about Brianna Wu. I haven't seen any of that. Someone can link that in my Discord. That'd be kind of base.
People I'm interviewing had to be involved, and the vast majority of them are in Gamergate as it was happening. So that was like one criteria I had, and I also wanted to get like a diverse sample of people, so different communities. So I've interviewed people with like wildly different views and perspectives on the thing too. I wanted to make sure I had a number of anti-Gamergate people as well. So I've interviewed several anti-Gamergate people, as well as a lot of pro-Gamergate. The pro-Gamergate people probably do outnumber the anti-Gamergate people in terms of total number of interviews. That's unfortunately in large part because the anti-Gamergate people, some of them don't want to talk, especially the games journalists themselves. They don't want to, like Stephen Totillo respectfully declined. A few others did as well. But I do have some anti-Gamergate voices, which I do appreciate them participating, and also providing feedback throughout. And I also, I got people all over the map with the Gamergate.
That was a great time, guys, by the way, to remind you to please like, subscribe, donate, buy membership, gift membership, buy super chat if you can. Thank you very much. Thank you.
In terms of politics, in terms of in terms of like what their roles were, from people who organized meetups to people who created deep freeze, the idea of deep freeze, and all sorts of stuff, including like some of like the more controversial stuff. Like I interviewed the guy who ran the Burgers and Fries IRC chat room, which has been accused of harassing Zoe Quinn, though that it looks more like it wasn't really a harassment thing there, really, from what I read from the logs. And also I've interviewed people like Cucurullo just yesterday, who was canceled, had his debate canceled in real life in Spain over Gamergate because of an online mob that went after him. And he brought receipts on the harassment he was receiving too, though I didn't see any confirmed anti-Gamergaters in the small sample of the harassing messages he received.
Okay. So I guess where all of this started was with Aaron Gioni and Zoe Quinn. So I guess this all started with like Aaron Gioni posting his big essay about Zoe Quinn. He posted it on multiple websites, I believe, and he got banned. Do you think that all of the claims in like the manifesto that Aaron put out were true? Do you think that some of them were true? Do you think that all of it was false? Or what's your take on his big essay?
So I've not read it in full. I've only started reading it prior.
Blocked and reported episode in the farms? Oh, we might do that then. I'm on my anti-woo kick right now. I'm on my shit. I'm enthused. Who was it that gave me the donation the other day? Was it Jonas? I'm enthused, okay? I've been encouraged by the financial incentive to carry on.
This, but then prior to this interview, actually, because I figured I should probably read it. Plus, I want to read it because I'm interviewing Cole Nasrallah next Saturday, and she's a former photographer who worked with Zoe Quinn and has some very interesting stories to tell about that. I wasn't originally with this project going to focus on the anti-Gamergate people at all. I didn't want it to be perceived as like, oh, he's just trying to cast doubt on their story or anything. I didn't want that to be the perception. So I really tried to avoid it, and I didn't know all the receipts back then when I first started either. But as time has gone on, I realized, well, it's part of the historical story. I do have to cover it. And so I started looking into mostly Brianna Wu stuff at first, though I have a little bit of information about Zoe Quinn as well. I don't know about the specific claims of her and Joni. I've only read like the first few paragraphs of that so far. I'll probably read the rest of it sometime this week, I assume.
Okay. Yeah, it's worth a read. I know that one of the main claims that he made is that Zoe Quinn had sex with Nathan Grayson in exchange for favorable coverage. And so I guess what are your thoughts on that?
So on that specific claim, it does. I don't know. I can't speak to their mens rea. The reason that they decided to engage in the relationship could be that they were starstruck lovers who hit it off right away. It could be that she saw it as a potential benefit, or that he saw it as a potential benefit, or who knows. I don't really care about their personal relationship. Her and Mr. Grayson. But he did actually promote her game over 49 other games in his Rock Paper Shotgun article, and I believe it was the day after that he tweeted out that he would destroy the gaming industry for her. He's also mentioned in the credits of the game as well, and thanked there. And it does appear that they had a very close personal friendship, at least going back for a couple of years prior to that. There was also another conflict of interest involving him and Quinn, where he wrote about the Polaris Game Jam situation, which Zoe Quinn had allegedly sabotaged, though it was like pretty minor sabotage. And then she made her own competing game jam after causing that one to collapse in part.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'm honestly, there's no reason for me to be fair to Stardust whatsoever. Well, I will make this clear, by the way. She said that I was just trying to kill someone, and has accused me and people around me of doxing, totally falsely. She's a horrible, horrible, wretched piece of shit cunt. It's a truly stupid individual. However, she's actually got the questions so far are not too bad. The questions so far, she's actually probing for decent information, and if she genuinely approaches this in an honest, curious way and tries to understand what actually happened, I will be fucking astounded. She is a demon. There is no good left in this woman's soul. No good. Let me tell you, all women. That is right, all women. Dude, we need to watch some Satan the Sinner at some point as well. Fuck. Guys, I don't know if you realize this, but Satan Sinner is the best content creator on YouTube.
By leaving the set, though, it wasn't just her. There were two other people who left the set as well. And she raised money for the Rebel Game Jam, but never gave any money, or never actually made it happen. So despite collecting money for it or asking for money for it, the event never actually occurred. That's also something that happened again later on with her Kickstarter. But yeah, so basically, sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place. So basically, yes, Nathan Grayson had at the very least a very close personal friendship with Zoe Quinn, and he should have disclosed that in his article, and he should have both of his articles. And in the other article, it's not necessarily a huge deal because he only quotes her slightly, but he didn't look into the story of what happened at the Polaris Game Jam. And if he dug a little bit deeper, maybe he would have realized that maybe his friend was part of the reason it collapsed, but he didn't dig into that story at all.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess one of the things that was claimed was that one of the main claims I believe that Aaron Gioni had was about Zoe Quinn cheating on him. And it turns out like he didn't edit on his original blog post about Zoe on the Zoe manifesto or whatever it's called, the Zoe post. Basically clarifying that when Zoe and him were on a break, it began.
Okay, this is like retarded stuff to ask about.
He said, okay, so I made a typo. We were on a break between May and June. To be clear, if there was any conflict of interest between...
This was like, yeah, sure, this was the inciting incident of Gamergate, and sure, she wants to clarify this stuff, and sure, but it's like, this is like an absolute minuscule point. Whether it was cheating, like, that's not relevant to anything that people were saying. It doesn't matter whether she's cheating on her boyfriend. It matters that she had a sexual relationship with a journalist that was promoting her game and making statements like, I'm going to burn down the gamers industry for her. That's the parts that are actually relevant to the story. It's not the cheating and the relationship aspects between these people are not actually particularly relevant.
Zoe and Nathan regarding coverage of Depression Quest prior to April. I have no evidence to imply that it was sexual in nature. So he made an edit on the Zoe post, basically clarifying that. I guess what would you say in response to that?
I can send you. I did a well-sourced video at the time where I go through the timeline, the full timeline of that incident.
Okay.
So I'll post that. Do you want to post it in general or just DM it to you?
You can just DM it to me, but do you have like anything that you would say about it, or I guess?
Well, again, I believe in my video, my coverage of the situation. I can't say when exactly they did the deed, but at the very least, they were in a close personal relationship that should have been disclosed. And again, and Stephen Totillo did confirm that they were in a relationship. Though again, I don't care about their personal drama, except insofar as I have to look into it for the story, you know, for the
yeah, I mean, I guess I would if you're gonna go over the Gamergate stuff, I would definitely like look into the thing that started it all, right? Because I think that is a pretty interesting thing that he edited his blog post, that he made a typo about when he said he was with Zoe, and also clarified that he was on a break with Zoe between May and June. So if there was any coverage prior to April, it wasn't sexual in nature if there was a conflict of interest. So like you said, if they were friends before, I could easily see like there's a conflict of interest because they're friends, right? So yeah.
Yeah, again, I don't care about Zoe and Aaron, and I am looking into that part of the story. I don't think it's like super relevant to GG, because his post in particular had very little to do with anything like gaming related. All it was mostly just like, hey, look, I've been cheated on. I feel like I've been emotionally abused and stuff. And he does later, and I did see the video he posted where he does actually show that the Facebook messages at least are real. I do know that.
Okay.
But again, I don't care about like their personal relationship. I'm gonna be looking into it over the course of the next week more, because that is gonna be an area of focus as I have the coolness rally coming up. I'm also interviewing Aaron himself. I've also reached out to Quinn as well, but she has not responded yet to my request to be interviewed.
I guess what I would say is that you know, a lot of the harassment claims, I could definitely see just kind of like coming out of Aaron, kind of like spreading this post around about his ex, right? Because basically he posted it on August 15th to a couple of places. August 16th he publishes it on WordPress, and then that same day 4chan people on 4chan are starting to form a narrative about what's going on, and he, I guess, continues. Well, also Aaron says that he's condemning the harassment against Zoe as a result of what he published. While also, I guess, admitting that he spread his blog on Penny Arcade and something awful.
Okay, but I don't think anyone's denying that there was harassment that probably occurred due to, you know, individual actors online saying something, going and acting fucking crazy. I think anyone denies that. The issue is people talking about like brigading and organized harassment. I think something being a harassment campaign. Those are the issues, right? And like the point that he was making was the Burgers and Fries IRC chat room did not seem to have harassed people based on the logs that were. Did not seem to have organized harassment based on the logs that were reviewed.
In order to create a backlash against his ex.
Yeah, I think the something awful claim at least is true. I believe he did post there. Zoe posted there as well. Was a community they were both a part of.
Yeah.
I can't speak to the Penny Arcade. I've only seen these screenshots of this something awful thing as well. I've seen the full archive.
Yeah. He also goes on the forums of Escapist. You know, it seems like he it seems like he very much was posting this, and it may be that he was truly wronged, but it seems like he was posting this to get backlash towards Zoe specifically. For him, it wasn't about this ethics and game journalism. It was about specifically to make her life hard, right?
Well, yeah, probably
from
for
his
him.
Again, I've not read the full thing yet. I'm going
I mean, he got cheated
but
on,
from his
right?
perspective, it seems like he did feel like he was wronged, and that it seemed like his personal reputation was being harmed in their community that he was part of it. He felt like he had to expose, I guess, that he was a terrible person
Right,
for what happened. And also, like, she does have like a really long. I was with you in the beginning of this project. I was like, hey, you probably shouldn't have published this. But like, the more I learn about Zoe Quinn and the various behavior she's been engaged in, the more I wonder if perhaps it was justified. I need to give this a look over.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't recall anywhere hearing about Zoe posting about Aaron on these forums, right? It looks
on something awful specifically. I don't know about that. I know that he's in his personal life. He says, but again, I can't verify that. I don't care about Aaron. I mean, like, he's a human being. He has like some level of like standing in the world. That, like, I mean, he has some level of conscious experience that obviously should be protected just like anyone else's. But I don't have a personal vested interest in him necessarily.
No, I know, but it is a significant portion. It's what started the fire, right? So like, I don't recall ever seeing Zoe posting publicly about Aaron. Whereas I would say that making this huge post and posting it, that is like defamation, right? He was basically
it's only defamation if it's not true.
Right, but one of the first things that he claimed was ended up he had to correct because it wasn't right in his blog
maybe he did. Again, I don't know. I'm not Aaron Joni. You should interview him if you have questions for him. But,
yeah, but I mean, you're writing a book on this, right?
Yeah, and that's why I'm going to be researching it.
Okay.
This particular area, but this is like a relatively minor portion of it because this doesn't really relate to Gamergate specifically.
But it's what started the fire. I do feel like it is significant.
It's really not significant or relevant to any of Gamergate, really, at all. No. But whatever.
No, and I do plan on covering it. At the beginning, I wasn't planning on focusing too much on this aspect as much, except as it came up, and then I decided, well, I should probably talk about Zoe Quinn specifically and her involvement in the situation.
I think she's trying
because
to
of the stuff involving like her former roommate
run
who killed
cover.
himself a few days after she accused him of sexual
We might
assault.
be disappointed, guys.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the
we
irony.
thought there was a
Like,
chance with Stardust.
Where
right, but
she allegedly defamed this person, this photographer that she worked with.
She is already
Basically
coming up
robbed her
with
of several
coat
hundred dollars,
deflections.
okay, that might be relevant.
She
Like
has a history of making really big claims about large numbers of people in other communities providing no evidence at all for this. She did this before with the Wizard Chan community. And again, the Wizard Chan people deny any harassment, and even her supposed evidence of this was literally just a screenshot of two mildly
Oh, dude, I used to
rude
browse
posts on the
Wizard
forum. That
Chan.
was it.
Holy fuck.
But what is the evidence behind like Brianna Wu's thing on Steam?
That
It's
takes
like
me
two
back,
screenshots,
man.
is it
What
not?
the fuck?
Well, no, so we do have some archives. We can go over them if you'd like.
Was that one... Was Wizard Chan 888? Was it that one? Maybe it was Wizard Chan. Fuck.
don't have to spend the whole time. So I spent
No,
sessions earlier.
I just want to point out, like, it is kind of ironic that you're writing a book about like ethics in reporting and game journalism, right? But you're not willing to do like a full, like, or at least it seems like you have a very biased view right now. You're not willing to do a full kind of like deep dive into where this started from, right? Wouldn't that like also?
What? What? What is that? Did she say he sounds biased? And he's not willing to do a full deep dive? The guy's written 2 books.
Fall into like ethics. Okay.
I definitely have. I don't consider. Again, I don't consider the Zoe post. I didn't consider it to be especially relevant because almost all of the Zoe posts, most of it focuses just.
Wait, yeah, okay. So Wizard Chan was 888. Yeah, I used to browse that shit when I was like, God, I would have been like 15, maybe 14, 15. Oh God, I remember looking at my phone in English class. Holy fuck.
On him and her personal drama. But again, that is an area where I am focusing on doing research. I'm interviewing people related to that time period. That's why I am reading the Zoe post. I was reading it before coming on. Though I realize another area of research, creating the timeline, would be more accurate. Would be a better, I think, use of my time.
Okay.
I sent you that.
Yeah.
And like, we can go through Brianna Wu's Steam forums if you'd like, because we do have the archives.
I don't really want to go through like Brianna Wu stuff.
Okay, Tachyon's showing his power level. Power level is rising. It's surging, guys.
Because I don't know all the claims around her. I'm not somebody who's obsessed with Gamergate. But I guess my question would be, do you think?
Oh, you don't want to go into those ones, Stardust? No, no, don't want to go into those claims. Why not? Why don't you want to go into those claims, Stardust? Jonas, I believe, though I'm not sure, I'm speculating. Obviously, nobody would have told me anything. Of course, I've got no. I know nothing. I know nothing. It's all speculation. Don't sue me, Brianna Wu. Stardust may already be being paid by Brianna Wu.
Why people didn't take the initial claims regarding gamer journalism seriously, or gamer journalism ethics seriously, because all of this stemmed from a manifesto written by an angry ex.
No, I don't think so. Especially since, like, if you look at prior to the Gamergate hashtag being used and prior to the Gamers Are Dead articles, again, this blog post was an extremely minor thing. It was extremely pretty minor drama on the internet, and then there were multiple other, and of course that was a confirmed ethical violation, 2 different ones from Nathan Grayson, and there were multiple other conflicts of interest that were uncovered at the same time, including within a 2-week period prior to like Gamergate proper starting. There was the Danielle Reindow article at Polygon, the review of Gone Home that gave the game a 10 out of 10. They didn't disclose that she is actually friends with the game's composer, as well as Patricia Hernandez, who was promoting the work of her friend Anna Anthropy, without disclosing that she was her roommate.
Okay. I mean, what makes game journalism different from normal journalism? Do you think that like people in normal journalism don't have like friends with people they review books for, or people that they're reporting on, or stuff like that?
It's almost endearing how fucking stupid she is, isn't it? It's almost endearing. It's almost endearing. But weren't so fucking infuriating. Jesus Christ.
Well, if they're reviewing their book, then no, they probably shouldn't. Now, again, I think that you can probably do whatever you want as long as you disclose that you're upfront with the readers, that you have a friendship with this person. Now, if you're reviewing their work, it's probably different, especially if they're reviewing a book, a game, whatever it happens to be a product that they've created. You probably should recuse yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would just say, like, I think to most people who are kind of observing this from the outside, you find out what was the thing that started the fire with all this, and it was, like, whether we want to admit it or not, it was this Zoe post, right? Yes, the Nathan Grayson stuff may have been confirmed, but at the end of the day, this still came from a manifesto from an angry ex who's accusing Zoe of, like, all sorts of stuff, right? So to most people who are, like, observing this from the outside, they're gonna kind of have doubts about, like, taking this seriously because it came from an angry ex, right?
Well, especially that's gonna be the case, right? When the media
but if it's proven true, it's proven true. What? You just said it's proven true. What do you care more about? The interpersonal relationships between the angry ex and the girlfriend that cheated on him, or allegedly cheated on him. I guess that was maybe corrected or something. Allegedly cheated on him, or ethical conflicts in journalism. I feel there's a more important issue here. Is there not? There's a more substantive problem going on here. You admit yourself is proven. This is just insane. This is such retarded sweeping. This bitch is so dumb, man. I can't believe I even for a moment, thought this would not be the insane sweeping. And yeah, I think it is. I think the worst part is I don't even know if this is financially motivated. I think this might be, once again, Stardust just always constantly trying to stick up for like some terrible fucking woman that's being dogpiled for actually just shitty behavior. where she always just wants to take their side, like fucking the Amber Heard shit. She was a massive Amber Heard supporter even after the trial. The food shop shit, if you can call food shops that. Who else has she done that for? Yeah, she covered the whole trial on stream. She watched like the whole thing, and she was like cheerleading Amber Heard through till past the end.
Refer to him seemingly as a jilted ex-boyfriend. Never mentions his name or reaches out to him for comment either. It's very weird.
Alexa
yeah, but I
as
mean,
well,
I think you could make
true.
the argument that, you know, when somebody's like spreading around this this huge post, right? That essentially, and there's you know also like screenshots of him like encouraging harassment and stuff.
Wait. So, excuse me, where is this energy for destiny? Excuse me? Excusez-moi, Stardust? Where is this energy for destiny? Sorry? Sorry? Hello? This guy, I would even say this guy sounds shitty. I mean, it is kind of shitty to air stuff out, but I mean, if you're exposing an ethical conflict, then it's almost like a whistleblower situation where you can make a justification for it. But what is the adequate justification for Destiny leaking all the stuff that he did, to where she thinks that one of them's okay and the other one's not? This is just nuts. Jonas, in a hypothetical world where I had questions answered by someone who was hypothetically in contact with people who are hypothetically working on the Woo stuff, I would probably imagine that someone would tell me that Destiny knows that Woo's kind of retarded and is basically just riding it for the connection she's got and the access to the funding, while trying to keep his hands clean of all the retarded shit that's going on. I would imagine that's what someone would tell me. But that's never happened. But I'm just sort of like musing on potential situations.
Like,
I don't know if that's true. I'd love to see that evidence if you have it.
Yeah, I'll pull it up and I'll send it to you. But like based off of that, I could see like, you know, maybe they would be hesitant. But yeah, they probably should have interviewed him. I agree with you on that.
Well, again, they should have reached out to him for comment. But again, I'm not Aaron Joe. That probably is an ethical violation. They never attempted to reach him or ask him what happened.
I
But
think
again,
that's an ethical violation. I'm with you on the Nathan Grayson thing being an ethical violation. I don't see how not reaching out to, you know, different people.
I mean, why wouldn't they try to get his evidence? We're going to be talking about in the New York Times. He's professional journalists. He's not exactly a difficult man to contact. In fact, none of the Gamergate people, so not too many seem to be all that difficult people to contact. Though he's not necessarily a Gamergate person. He's a little more nuanced view of it, I think, but doesn't seem like broadly sympathetic.
Okay. Do you think okay, so like we kind of talked about this before, but I think like a lot of Gamergaters were very much against the harassment and any like threats that were given towards a lot of the women that were on the anti-GG side, right? But do you think that there was at least like some sort of issue where they were experiencing some sort of harassment?
Yeah, probably. I mean, we do know that Anita Sarkeesian did receive two bomb threats and a mass shooting threat from someone at her college speaking engagement. That obviously that's harassment. And we do know that Pterodax, at least, and Avius, they both admit to sending her. Well, Pterodax, he's a troll. Third-party troll. He harassed people on both sides and trolled most of the Gamergate people. But he occasionally fuck with the anti-Gamergaters too. He sent her a picture of a gun on Twitter. He tweeted a picture of a gun at her, and then he also bribed people on social media with Super Smash Bros. DLC codes if they would send death threats to Zoe Quinn and blame Gamergate for it. There was also Avius. He was a third-party troll as well. He says that he sent like gore pictures to people and told them to kill themselves. He didn't know what Gamergate was.
Yeah.
But he says he didn't know what Gamergate was. He was 14 years old at the time, and he was just fucking around on the internet to troll some social justice warriors. And so he says he tweeted at Brianna many times.
Yeah.
And the Gamergate anti-harassment troll people actually got him banned. And Pterodax, they over 50 Gamergate people did mass report Pterodax, including Sargon.
Sorry, you just can't hate someone who's like, yeah, I did it.
Alan Harris, who I've interviewed, the Gamergate meetup
I just can't.
He also encouraged people to report the post.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it seems like there were you know, quite a few pretty like you know, people were pretty staunchly against harassment on the Gamergate side. So I, you know, would obviously give that credit, right? But I do think that there's probably a decent amount of like bitterness from people on the anti-GG side, because I think a lot of them felt like people on the GG side refused to like acknowledge the harassment and stuff. So.
Yeah, do you think that's what I've done?
No, I don't think that's what you've done. No. But I guess I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just I mean, obviously I don't support anybody harassing anybody, and I didn't support it back then either. I don't think the vast majority of people involved did.
Yeah, no, I don't think the vast majority of people involved did either. In fact, I do believe it. Like somebody told me that they think it all came, or at least a good portion of it came from one specific content creator. And that content creator is well known for you know.
What's this capital stuff, Sleepy?
Yeah.
Yes, I know who you're referring
Is
to.
that
Yeah.
the Sunday
Yeah.
video?
And he was very much ostracized over some of his behavior.
Yeah. I've definitely experienced some stuff. But I guess that goes to another thing. Do you think that there were like obviously I don't like Anita Sarkeesian. I just don't care about like if video game characters are super sexualized, right? But do you think that there were problematic people who made careers off of Gamergate on the anti-GG side?
I mean, yeah, we can. I think a lot of
Yeah, obviously. What a retarded question.
People who are bad actors who are bad people.
Yeah.
Some of Brianna Wu's claims don't seem to be entirely accurate. Her timeline of events doesn't really match what she told the media. Like they claim that she fled her home, and I sent you the evidence on that. That does not appear to be true. And her making the post on the Steam Greenlight forums, allegedly harassing herself, and then in an interview with you, when you asked her about this, I believe Short Fat gave you the link. You said that publicly. I'm not leaking a source.
Yeah.
He gave you that link. You asked her about it. She said that there were quote hundreds of messages saying that my game sucks and that I suck. There does not appear to be evidence of this. There are a couple of posts on her forums that were made after her posts later on that did say that maybe some comments got deleted, so it's possible that there were a couple of mean messages on there. There is at least one confirmed pro-Gamergate person who did leave a message, Zombie Knife. She says, not for me, Ta. The green lighting process should give people interest in the PC version a fair opportunity to buy it here. We'll see what the market decides. So that is from a confirmed Gamergate person. I do know her.
Yeah. I can't really say because I haven't had the time to go through everything that you sent me, but I do know that Brianna has said on several occasions that her memory isn't good because of like PTSD or whatever. But do you think that there are any other people, like I guess in the Gamergate or anti-Gamergate side that you think have made careers
Oh,
that
you can't make it up, man. This is fucking hilarious, isn't it? Holy shit.
problematic?
Again, I don't like to use like their careers are problematic as if like they should be like exercised from society.
Yeah.
But I do think that Zoe Quinn does have a pattern of behavior that doesn't appear to be very good. And I can show you all the receipts on this. So she was I don't know about the Aaron Joni stuff specifically, but with the Cole and Israela stuff again, her defaming Cole and making claims about her that don't appear to be true. She's alleging that she defamed her essentially. And then this is a business partner of hers. Well, not business partner, they worked together as a photographer, and she was a photography. Then of course there's the Al Coloca situation where her former roommate, she accused him of sexually assaulting her, and he lost his job right away and then killed himself a few days later, which doesn't seem very good. And it looks like she never provided evidence of the claim, and it looks
Yeah,
like.
but how do you provide evidence for sexual assault?
Again, I'm not saying she's lying.
No, I know, but I'm just asking, how would you ever provide evidence for sexual assault?
Yeah, again, I'm not asking her to. Though there's some weird things where the post-millennial actually did an article about this in 2019, and it looks like a lot of the public statements that she was making specifically regarding him don't appear to be true. Like some of the exact timeline doesn't.
She wants men to die. I'm sorry. Stardust said I wanted to kill food shops. Stardust wants men to die. She wants to kill men. She wants to kill men. She wants them dead. She hates men so much and she wants to kill them. I don't like the Sunday video that much because I felt it was current position on money usage, but the DM leaks were cool. Where was that? What money usage?
match up with what she was saying, and she also seemed to right up until, so she's claiming that he sexually harassed her years ago, but then they worked together for several years. Again, I'm not saying maybe she didn't feel comfortable reporting it. Could be any number of different things. That's actually an active area of investigation for me, you could say.
Yeah.
Then of course there's the Wizard Chan situation where she accused him of.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is I just think if sure, there may be all these other things, but when it comes to like things like sexual assault, that is one of the things that is like one of the hardest things to prove, right?
Oh no, I don't deny that at all. Yeah. Again, I just some of her
or even
statements
sexual harassment, right? So yeah.
And I can send you the post-millennial article on this that goes over all of that. And then the Wizard Chan situation. Then there's also the situation with the Rebel Game Jam where she tries to raise money for this. I don't know if anyone actually donated because she didn't list publicly who was donating, but she was asking for money for it and it never happened. Then also she did Kickstarter where she exceeded her goals, but the game never came out, and it's been several years since it was supposed to come out. She just seems like not a great person. She also tried to, she made false accusations against Tim Saray, a game developer who made The Last Night, which is this popular indie game. She made accusations
what
that
kind of
definitely
accusations?
She says that he was one of her harassers and that he was harassing her. But if you look through the actual tweets that he made, he didn't say anything to her at all. Actually, he just said that Gamergate is about. He was a game developer who said that Gamergate was about egalitarianism and about ethics. And he also did make a second tweet where he did criticize feminism and thought that egalitarianism was better.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, to me that just sounds like somebody who doesn't understand feminism too much. But yeah, no, I mean, I get that.
What?
And that may be true. There may be like a bunch of like dubious accusations floating around, right? But like I don't know, like casting down on like. Like obviously, I'm not like a believe all women kind of person, right? I'm just kind of like
yes, you are. 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 You lying cunt. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Why is she just lying through her fucking teeth?
Women kind of person, and like kind of like waving your head, but like yeah, I think it does seem like it does seem like the vast majority of the stuff that you're pulling seems to be very biased against like anti-DGers specifically.
Well, again, I'm just going where the research takes me, and again, I'm open to seeing all sorts of other sources as well. It should also be noted regarding Zoe Quinn that she was a member of the Something Awful community, and she also posted on Hell Dump. She did say that she has a crippling Hell Dump addiction, and also that she missed Hell Dump. Hell Dump was Something Awful's doxing board, though it was a bit more nuanced than just being a doxing board. She also, if the Crash Override Network leaks, she did admit to sabotaging the Polaris game jam, though it was a relatively minor sabotage from what it looks like.
But you know,
that was confirmed by Ian Miles Chung.
But you know what this sounds like to me, right? So to me, like I'm asking you about like details of the Aaron Keone thing with Zoe, and you're saying like, oh, that doesn't matter, it's minor in comparison to the Gamergate movement. But at the same time, you are going super in detail about all the ways that Zoe Quinn isn't that great of a person, as if that is relevant to the Gamergate stuff, right?
Well, there's more stuff with Crash Override stuff we could see. But I'm actively researching.
Yeah, sure, but you.
Well, that is now it's currently a top priority actually.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, you know, on one hand, you can't claim on one hand that like it doesn't matter, while also using the fact that Zoe Quinn is not that great of a person as a way to bolster like the movement. Because if it's not about her as a person, then it's not about her as a person, right?
No, all I'm saying is that like she's making big claims about Gamergate being a harassment campaign to destroy her life. She's made very similar. She doesn't really provide any evidence for this claim, and then there seems to be a lot of different other claims when she's claimed things. She also claimed to have gotten mugged and asked her Twitter followers to give her money. I don't know if that happened or not. That's what I don't know if the mugging happened, but the tweet happened.
Do you think that maybe because Aaron was spreading this like Zoe post in multiple forums, and then there was like a whole community now starting to talk about their specific like private details of their relationship? Maybe wait, just let me finish. Yeah. So Aaron Keone made the Zoe post, right? Do you think that like at least initially in the beginning, where Aaron is spreading this post around to multiple forums, and a lot of the stuff in the beginning is just centered on her and Aaron and her sleeping with other people, that maybe to her it did feel at least at that point like a harassment campaign?
Maybe. Again, I don't know if she wants to feel that way or not, but she's going to make specific claims. She should provide evidence for them. I have gone through some of the Aaron stuff regarding him and the Burgers and Fries IRC chat room. I went through the posts.
This guy just stomping
Stardust. It looked like he
Stardust.
was encouraging people to harass her. He even expressly says in the chat logs that he doesn't think people should slut shame. That he thinks he was a very progressive guy. He thinks that people should. He thinks that infidelity shaming is okay, but he doesn't think slut shaming is okay.
I guess I just find it is.
And then Quinn did use her career, like she did use her career though to create the Crash Override Network, which was a really seedy organization that actually was officially backed by Twitter and the Frequency as well. And in this organization, Izzy Galvez, one of the members, is a confirmed person who tried to engage in doxing against a Gamergate supporter. And then he did get fired for that from the organization. And then Robert Marmello, another one of them, has been accused of sexual harassment. And Randy Harper was doxing people in the group chat that's available in the Airplay documentary part 2 when they go over the logs. And then also, I can link you, there's a blog post that goes over all this as well.
Sure.
And he tried to blacklist people as well.
In the interest of, I guess, like having like an interesting interview and stuff, I guess, so you've listed like 2 people that you find are problematic on the anti-GG side. Do you think that there are people who are on the pro-GG side who made careers off of Gamergate who are problematic?
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Ralph
Obviously.
would be a good example, and we alluded to him earlier.
You think this guy likes Ethan Ralph? Do you think this guy likes Sargon?
He did allow, actually, a Wild Goose, a member of the Bill Wagner crew, this doxing group, to join his Slack channel and dox me there, actually.
How is that making
also talked
it
about,
interesting? That's not making it interesting. It's deflecting fucking the topic of conversation away from people that you might want to defend, or you might like, or you might receive or be receiving money from at some point. You are such a fucking horrendous piece of shit. Oh man, I hate her so much.
After a bunch of other Gamergate people he didn't like in this private group chat, which was leaked out, and that he didn't consider himself a part of GG anymore. He also allowed Wild Goose, the same Bill Wagner crew person, to write an article on his website going after Lily Fang's friends and family. Lily Fang, well, her friends, so they also did that, going against her fiance as well. Lily Fang was a Gamergate supporter who was supposed to be at the San Francisco meetup the day before, but due to a miscommunication, she ended up not getting the address in time. And the next day, she was hit by a train. And they believe it was a suicide. I don't know if the police knew about the prior engagement. I was going to let them know, because I found out about that recently. I don't know if there's any reason to think that case was necessarily foul play or anything, but I haven't seen the full police report. But better let them know just so that they have the information.
Jesus.
Then he made this blog post on Ralph's blog, basically saying that if I had friends like Nicole Sund and Albert Campbell, I would kill myself too. These are 2 Gamergate supporters. And then he posted a fake troll apology where he wanted to fuck with him some more. And then he also, well, not necessarily him, but somebody, probably him or one of the Bill Wagner people, did decide to create a fake GoFundMe to go after Cole Vivian and Nicole Sund. And imply that she was grave standing, try to raise money to put her headstone of Nicole on the tombstone of Lily.
Yeah, I guess I'm more looking for like, do you think that there are more people than just Ethan Ralph that you object to having made a career off of Gamergate?
Milo Yiannopoulos.
Okay, yeah. I think also, Mike Cernovich was also somebody who kind of benefited off of it.
Maybe, but he was only very lightly engaged in the whole thing. He tweeted about it a few times. There were a lot of like celebrities and people like that who would make some comments about it, but then largely disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, but he seems pretty prominent now. I mean, it seemed to have gained him a decent amount of visibility.
Yeah, I don't think the Gamergate stuff gave him a huge amount of visibility specifically.
Okay.
Because he was very, very lightly involved with the controversy, and even by the time I got involved, he was already done with it, pretty much.
Okay. Do you feel like the fact that people like Milo Yiannopoulos and Ethan and other people, do you think that them making careers off of Gamergate, especially since Milo Yiannopoulos seemed to kind of like really lean into the whole Gamergate stuff and really gained a lot of notoriety, is it? So given what Milo
He's so desperate to change the topic of conversation onto the pro GGers. Holy fuck.
a part of, is it unreasonable to associate Gamergate with the rise of the far right?
It's a complicated, nuanced question. I think probably not for the most part, because if you look at the data on this, it doesn't seem to be true. Most of the people involved weren't far-right people or even right-wing people. Even as this data even from 2016, Brad Glasgow's very well done research on Gamergate. We did a survey with confirmed Gamergate people only, and he had a pretty good verification process to see who was involved and who wasn't. Other studies have basically shown the same thing. Other surveys, so they didn't have as good methodology as Brad Glasgow's did. And if you look at like the traffic to Breitbart, only like less than 10% actually, less than 10% of single digits of Gamergate people even went to Breitbart for news. So it doesn't seem like
Yo.
Happy New Year's, Kuihman and chat.
Oh, thank you for the $10. Abby Blackbird. Happy New Year's. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
they were all that successful in that regard. But there were definitely some people who lost their minds and did become like more right-wing people, like Milo and like Ralph and
I mean,
John
I'm not-
Kelly probably. I think John Kelly's not right-wing anymore, but
Yeah, I'm not saying that the Gamergaters themselves were like far right. I just am asking like because Milo Yiannopoulos became such a huge figurehead, and even somebody that you interviewed, I believe, was on a panel with me when he acknowledged that we made Milo Yiannopoulos, we chose him to like be like one of the people advocating for us, and we chose wrong with that. And so like given that Milo is one of the most like well-known figures to come out from the Gamergate stuff, he does have that association with the far right.
he didn't at the time per se, but later on, yes.
I'm pretty sure he was pretty conservative though, like from the get-go.
No,
right?
he was doing his. He was like a basic bitch conservative, I think, in the beginning, and then he's rebranded like 6 times. Then he decided to do cultural libertarianism, which was trying to build like this broad brush coalition of like liberals and conservatives and libertarians who all wanted to basically all had like classical liberal values, basically, and the liberalists that Sargon created. And then he rebranded again and became like more like alt-right adjacent or alt-right. And then he rebranded again recently.
Yeah, but Breitbart,
now
he
he's
was
Christian
working.
conservative,
Right,
Christian nationalist.
he was working for Breitbart during the Gamergate time though, right? And Breitbart News is pretty known for being very like far right.
Yeah, definitely today. Maybe they were back then too, but they were actually the only publications that would even cover the Gamergate stuff. None of the other ones would even talk to people. I think everybody involved recognized that, or not everybody, like the vast majority of people involved basically recognized that allowing Milo to be so close was probably a mistake. And
Yeah.
He basically after the pedophile comments especially, when he started to go more right wing, he lost. He fell off really hard.
Yeah. I guess there were other like pretty prominent figures, but I don't find them problematic as much, as others. I guess like what are your goals for this book like going forward? I guess.
Well, I guess I just when I first started the project, I wanted to just tell people stories.
I think it's fair to say Milo was a sideshow freak. I'm not sure that's true in terms of Gamergate, because he was one of the ones that they chose to go to the that conference and got a bump for it with the Society of Professional Journalists. Who was it? It was him, Christina Hoff Summers, I think, and someone else. So he was pretty big.
So
Yeah.
when I first considered an encyclopedia, but that seemed like I
Yeah.
take 10 years to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to spend like a year on this project, and that's
Yeah.
it. So I decided I want to do interviews, tell people stories. That kind of evolved over time. I saw opportunities to interview people.
Well,
and
nobody
also-
chose him, but a lot of support did coalesce around him. I mean, for good reason. He's obviously a very charismatic guy who's good at presenting ideas and winning people over. I mean, there's a reason why he's been around for so fucking long, right? And Milo doesn't believe that any of the shit he fucking says. I mean, you might believe the stuff about his priest teaching him to give good head, but most of his political takes he does not believe. He is literally just full blown like clout, money, drone.
And I also had people reaching out to me, and they wanted to be a part of the project and tell their story. And I felt like I got a pretty good, diverse cross sample of people involved in the various camps of Gamergate, as well as several of the anti-Gamergaters who have different perspectives on it. Like Nine Tails' perspective is very different from Bashloff's, and very different from Hannah's.
Well, I don't know that Milo's never played video games, because he did get his start as, I believe, a tech journalist for the BBC. That was like where he very first started off at, so I don't know if that's necessarily true, but yeah.
Zamora's, and they all have different reasons that they dislike Gamergate.
I would hardly call like Nine Tails like a reliable narrator though, right? Because she's like pretty like crazy, but
Well,
yeah.
I interviewed her. It was a polite conversation, I guess. I disagree with her on this stuff, but I'm glad she agreed to participate.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think it just I don't know. I guess given what Gamergate was about, I think when you like have critiques of the way that people write things, I think you should probably like do some like introspection on whether you're living up to those critiques, right? So like.
What do you think I haven't?
It's a question that chat has, right? So like if there's a conflict of interest in like reporting on something a certain way because you're friends with people or you have pre-existing relationships with people, I guess like what would your solution I guess be to that?
That they should disclose that essentially.
Yeah. Okay.
And I actually ran into that. I tried to be very careful in how I approach this project. There's actually somebody who I interviewed. I wouldn't say they were like friends, but we've talked before, and she's part of the project. She wrote an article about this project that's not been published yet. And obviously I DM'd her and I'm like, hey, we should probably disclose that you were part of it. She's like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, okay, cool. So that's that.
Do you think that?
And I also
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. No.
I also talked about being very open about the mistakes I made during Gamergate in my initial Reddit post on Kotaku Action, where I told people that I was going to do this, and GT discussion, where I also told people I was going to do this. I was very upfront about the mistakes that I made during Gamergate, and I also had disclosed that I donated money to Leon Kersner when I interviewed her, and I donated money to Kukuruyo when I interviewed him.
Okay.
And I'm also
fair
interviewing
enough.
somebody who was at the Gamergate meetups in St. Louis. That's an offline interview though, and I'll probably disclose too that obviously I know this person from the meetups.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like from what I can see on like in this whole drama from what I've read, it just seems like that it was a very messy movement and that there were like pretty there were nefarious actors on both sides of this, right? But that doesn't like it's reasonable to like have concerns about like ethics in journalism, and it's reasonable to have questions about that, right? But yeah, it's definitely a very messy thing from everything that I could read on it, and I feel like I could spend like a whole year just researching the Gamergate stuff, and I still wouldn't know everything about it,
Probably not everything about it, but like you could probably. I mean, like I've done over 40 interviews over the course of just 3 months.
Yeah.
You could figure it out pretty quick, I think.
I don't know. I feel like I spent like a good week on it, and yeah, I don't think I don't know. But
Stardust,
it seems very complicated.
You're not
but
the
I guess-
best. You're not the best barometer for comprehending information, for processing information, for understanding a story. Are you, Stardust? Are you really, Stardust? Are you really? Let's be honest. not really the best learner. Some would say you have maybe learning difficulties, a learning disability.
Like, what do you think you have gained from interviewing all of these people? And what do you think are some like misconceptions that people have?
After what I've gained, I think that I've recognized that I have a pretty good talent as an interviewer and as a researcher. I mean, I wasn't like terrible before, but I feel like I have to document every single thing. I have to fact check claims that people make. That's how I found out about a lot of this stuff too. It's like the specifics about some of the stuff regarding Brianna Wu. People would make a claim, and I'd be like, well, hang on, and I'd be like defensive of her and be like, hey,
He's doing it. Tachyon is, dude. This guy's power level is fucking surging. Oh, yeah, this guy's a monster. Just keep dropping Brianna Wu. He did the exact thing I said he should do. Holy fuck, that's based. That's some base shit. Check Discord. Which one?
true, and I'd look into it and I'm like, oh shoot, it is true.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, that's how I have most of the information that I have about this, because of fact checking things that other people were saying, and also some research of my own as well. And I've also
yeah, sorry.
I feel like I've gotten better at research. I've gotten better at being very careful with the claims that I make, being very factually accurate. I think like holding myself to like a high regard for ethics and journalistic practices. Like, I feel like I've done like a pretty good job of this. I've gotten feedback from people on both sides, and a lot of people on both sides think I'm doing a pretty good job. Hannah Zamora was even said in her interview with me that she was really impressed with just how much I've done and how much research I've done, and how mostly how I recognize that there's more to this story, just the ambition. That I recognize the ambition and rose to the occasion of the opportunity there. And I feel like I've learned a lot more about the Gamergate stuff for the book, which is great. So back on a personal level, I think this is, I don't know, we'll see, but I think it sparked me an interest in journalism and history. And I have some other ideas of things I want to cover in the future, other projects.
Oh
and I think that this
no, what
is,
the fuck is this? Not that. That's fucking disgusting as well, but what is this? Dragon Age Inquisition review by Milo. Dozens of readers have been in touch to ask what I think of perhaps the most controversial AAA, that's gamer for top tier or blockbuster release of the year. For a while, I resisted their entreaties, but ultimately I exist to serve you, dear reader, so here it is, the Breitbart review of Dragon Age Inquisition. First off, it's worth explaining some historical context. Most of the worst things in the world come from Canada. Consider Shania Twain, Justin Bieber, Brian Adams. Milo's such a good writer, man. I remember why I like them so much now. Rufus Wainwright, Tom Green, Avril Lavigne, Michael Cera, Celine Dion, Nickelback, BioWare, developers of Dragon Age, are also Canadian. With BioWare's reputation established in the early 2000s by middling but commercially popular, if somewhat buggy releases such as Baldur's Gate and Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, BioWare was, at least a decade ago, strongly positioned to achieve sustained success at the average games that perform well with the customers end of the market. To be fair to both these titles, they both have very enthusiastic fan bases. But the company in recent years has become, well, a bit of a running joke. Most gamers say the rot set in around 2009 and 2010, when BioWare was acquired by Electronic Arts. Perhaps it was a talent exodus, too much managerial interference, or failure to keep the creative teams fresh. Either way, BioWare's ability to release artistically accomplished and even, some reviewers say, technologically competent games began to evaporate. There is also a suggestion that BioWare's games became unduly politicized around the same time, pandering to what some call the social justice narrative, awkwardly shoehorning minority characters and progressive messaging into its plots, and meddling with storylines to push political agendas that have never resonated with ordinary gamers. Practically every release from BioWare now contains dozens of gay and lesbian romance storylines and sex scenes, which many young gamers find baffling. 2011's Dragon Age 2 unexpectedly bombed with consumers, despite, of course, rave reviews from the mainstream game news sites, and need only a whiff of a paraplegic lesbian and an ill-fated love affair with a black transsexual to award a game full marks. Mass Effect 2 wasn't a critical success with ordinary gamers either. They called it filler and said it was uninspiring. It too bored players with politics, and then of course there was the extraordinary failure of imagination in Mass Effect 3. The ending, which has gone down in gamer history, is one of the worst, most needless creative failures in the history of the industry. The games press, needless to say, denied there was anything wrong with Mass Effect 3, scolding gamers for being entitled. But if entitlement means expecting a sensible and narratively satisfying conclusion to an expansive, immersive video game, most consumers will be happy to admit that they are guilty. Many of BioWare's customers wondered whether the time could have been whether more time could have been spent on a satisfactory ending and less on irrelevant lesbian sex themes. Jesus. That reviews of AAA games by professional journalists are like to hear, no, dude, bro, this is a fucking... Okay, I didn't realize it was a novel. Jesus. Fucking thesis statement. Let's just pick out some highlights here. Oh, you want me to keep going? You want me to finish it? Alright, fuck it.
The reviews of AAA games by professional journalists are likely to bear no relation to their reception by fans has become a truism of video game journalism. In fact, the gulf between professional games writers and the rest of the universe, especially in the case of games like the older Dragon Age 2, was one of the simmering concerns that led to the consumer revolt now known as Gamergate. The unhappy disjuncture between readers and reviewers finds its highest expression in BioWare reviews, and most certainly its monstrous apotheosis in its reviews for the Dragon Age Inquisition, which, despite its numerous and serious flaws, garnered some of the highest scores and most effusive rating reviews of the year. Polygon, Vox Media's bolt hole for disenfranchised social justice bloggers with a penchant for Xbox masochism, rated the game 9.5, despite admitting that the PlayStation version of the game had serious technical problems that required multiple reboots, and despite, of course, the reviewer admitting he had not even completed this game of extraordinarily rare scope. Kotaku, perhaps the most openly hated video game website on the internet and a fellow traveller on the social justice path, published a cloying, gushing, interminable love letter to the game. The author of this War and Peace length paean to the highest spiritual values of Dragon Age Inquisition, Kirk Hamilton, is a man of singular literary talents. Consider the following, published with apparently straight face. For all its mythical trappings, at its heart, Dragon Age Inquisition presents us with the most intoxicating fantasy of all time, that would be loved, respected, and followed to the ends of the earth. That we'll be able to make time and space for everything and everyone that matters to us. That even as a world as vast as our own can be saved, if only we can work together. Act. Ugh. That's some nasty shit. That is some especially nasty shit. That's some heinous stuff. Alright. Once you finish picking the sick out of sick out of your keyboard. The writing is that bad throughout. I've read it so you don't have to. Let us turn to the game itself and see if we can work out why these reviewers might have thought so highly of the new Dragon Age Origins. New Dragon Age, BioWare's marketing budget aside. Who knows what coke and hookers arrangements such enormous amounts of money can buy. So this is calling back to a Gamergate criticism where people would often complain that basically games journos get flown out to these big press events where they get wined and dined for a couple of days and get to play the game and fuck around and, you know, do coke and fuck hookers, I guess, Milo's saying. To which they did, yeah, which is true. They absolutely did, yeah. In Dragon Age Inquisition, you play the hero who can save the world by many tears between reality and the dream world. It's a familiar premise, redolent of Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, but the protagonist in Dragon Age Origins Inquisition has no palpable motivations, and decisions in Dragon Age Origins are precursors to Dragon Age Inquisition. Fuck me, this is going to fuck me up so bad. Have been disregarded or retconned to the frustration of franchise fans. The sloppiness of the writing extends to most of the characters in Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm just DAI. Which never quite make the player really care about anything that's happening on screen. Some of them, such as the British elf ogre thing I quote from a fan forum, Sarah, are outright awful. I cannot speak. We're in Jar Jar Binks territory here, and we should have never signed off. Take a sip of coffee. It's as if fanfiction.net and Tumblr had a grotesque love child, reads one particularly wapish comment from my inbox from a German fan. Followed by, who let Zoe Deschanel into the Middle Ages? If you think Mumsnet can be bitchy, you should check out the video game forums after a BioWare release. Then there's the gameplay. It's third person, after a fashion, and similar to Dragon Age 2, but, and this is a regular source of frustration to fans, with such dumbed down moronic mechanics as to not even be irritating, but worse, actively tedious. The scope of player action has been reduced significantly. Healing magic, for example, has been entirely removed from the game. The offense of this new simplicity is compounded with meaningless, repetitive micromanagement tasks that lack wider significance. Come on, guys, we don't have all the intellectual capacity of a polygon editor and a strange padding effect that seems to be present merely to waste time in a sort of death by 1,000 cuts. Every action seems to take 3 seconds, 2 seconds too long to execute. Why has BioWare done this? Simply to rack up time on the clock? Because if it was merely to justify the big price tag on this game, then they really need not have bothered. They could have spent more time on the graphics instead. Animations in DAI are outright risible, so he's one of my trusted reviewers. The elven characters were barely past muster in a free Asian MMO. Top kek, as they say. Jesus Christ, I'm cringing, Milo. Fuck me.
And that's before we get to all the stuttering, glitches, and bugs that make this game even more visually unattractive to sit through. Console versions don't fare much better apparently, not being what they call a console peasant. I'm not equipped nor prepared to judge, but feel free to report back in the comment section. It's possible that some of the errors in DAI are caused by the horrific DRM BioWare slapped on, which is called Denuvo and is loathed by gamers because it works hard hard drives constantly, shortening the life of both SSD and conventional discs, while also affecting the performance of discs in processor-intensive games. Dude, this is such a based article. Because it's not just that he's reviewing fucking Dragon Age Origins or Dragon Age Inquisition, which he is. He's obviously giving his opinions on the game. But he's also just working in just like completely shitting on every other journalist in the whole games industry and bringing up all the gaming critiques while doing the review. It's so based. This is so based. This is so much better. Like, think of how much better this is than some gay Kotaku article where they just talk about the gay relationship in the game and that's all the review's about. No, this is the review and it's just like this crazy fucking hit piece as well, basically. It's so based. Dude, we need to save Milo. We need to pause Milo up again. We need to get Milo paused up. We need to bring him back. Specific performance hits from Denuvo include reduced frame rates, which is the number one technical complaint with DAI. Fortunately for BioWare's customers, although the DRM on the game was said to be uncrackable, it was busted open within a month, allowing dedicated gamers to remove this troublesome feature. The legality of cracking a game you've purchased is murky, so don't take that as an endorsement, please. It's a mystery how, when the gameplay is shallow and dull, the interface and UI is clearly designed for consoles, despite having a higher price tag for the PC version. Given obvious heavy borrowings from Skyrim and mediocre to outright poor general presentation, not to mention some deeply bizarre eyebrows and facial hair, sorry but it's really distracting that every professional game reviewer in land has seen fit to shower this hopeless sequel in such unmitigated praise. Unless it's the lesbians, by which I mean the alternative lifestyles BioWare insists on thumping us around the head with. Ah, those hot lesbians. They would be even hotter if BioWare's artwork wasn't so appallingly inconsistent throughout Dragon Age Inquisition. Of course, which is the only reason I can raise the subject. Except to say that, evidently, BioWare has failed to do even cursory research into lesbian relationships. Uh-oh. For a start, both partners are cute, and they actually have sex. You know, instead of sitting opposite one another, separated by an abandoned Scrabble board in the remains of yesterday's Saga knitting challenge, surrounded by rescue cats. In any case, the lesbian sex scenes are ugly and forced as this. The only scissoring you'll want to do is to the game DVD. But I digress. After all, it's a fantasy game with dragons. Why can't they have lesbians who aren't bitter, boring, or resentful? It's the painful, cringe-worthy pod dialogue and lackluster artwork that make these scenes truly unbearable to sit through. Even more so than the awkwardly jammed-in social justice posturing. There is grating, gratuitous homosexuality throughout DAI, and of course the obligatory transsexual, but by far the most irksome material is sapphic. Particularly galling for older video game enthusiasts, many of whom are fans of BioWare's older games, is how far the developer has fallen in its treatment of adult themes. Compare the giggly adolescence of the scene above with how well BioWare used to deal with sex. They say, it's girls versus nymphomaniac. Okay. It can't be repeated often enough how jarring and uneven the writing is throughout this game. The original Dragon Age, which I also played in preparation for writing this review, was no literary masterpiece, but was, at least for the few hours I played it, consistently average. DII veers from the unremarkable to the downright unbearable. Fuck me, I cannot talk tonight. Crazy. We're near the end though, we're almost done. Jesus. Quick break. Quick reset. Okay. Dragon Age Inquisition is what some gamers mean when they say they're worried about the intellectually dishonest critics like Anita Sarkeesian muscling in on the games industry and encouraging developers to slap a few dykes or a woman in a wheelchair into games to suck up to the left-wing bloggers and keep their Metacritic scores up. Breitbart News looks forward to its scores being included in official rankings. If BioWare had applied themselves as much to ensuring a consistently high-quality visual experience and more sophisticated game mechanics as they do to crowbarring social justice memes like hot lesbian action and smouldering man-on-man bunk fests into their storylines, perhaps the overall effect of their games would be stronger, and hardcore gamers wouldn't hold them in so much contempt. But that's Canada for you. In the wake of Gamergate, Dragon Age Inquisition is truly the game of the year. Not because it is the best game to be released, but because it represents everything that went wrong to video games in 2014. It's uncharitable, particularly this close to Christmas, to wish failure on others. But you do have to wonder, how much longer can BioWare keep churning out this crap before consumers start abandoning them en masse? Money is flowing through BioWare for now, which is why marketing budgets exist to effectively purchase Fantasyland review scores from disreputable websites owned by Vox and Gawker Media, but the centre has not held. BioWare produces soulless, miserable, agenda-driven husks of video games, and nowhere is this better demonstrated than the disastrously dull Dragon Age Inquisition. In a nutshell, saturated with bienpensant political posturing to satisfy media toadies, Dragon Age Inquisition has little to recommend it to the serious gamer. Oh, Jesus Christ, that was a struggle. I was having a fucking stroke there. My eyes hurt. Holy fuck. Jesus. What an amazing article. That was a banger. Dude, we need Milo back. Now I remember why I liked them so much. Now I remember. Who's freaking epic. Okay. Let's get back to watching this interview.
Teaching me skills that are going to be necessary. Don't need to get better at making thumbnails. That's like the main thing, I guess, for that.
Yeah. I think internet history is something that isn't like isn't really like exported into traditional media very often. So that is true there. I do have like a couple of questions from people in the chat, if that's okay.
Yeah, I never answered the rest of your question though, but yes.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? We'll come to that at the end because I think it's like a nice closure. Food Shops, I guess, was asking about a methodology behind a study that you were talking about. I think it may have been the polling of like political viewpoints of people. I guess.
Yeah, it's a Brad Glasgow research.
Yeah.
Food slops.
What was your question specifically? I can pull it up.
I guess she just wants to know what the methodology was for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what he did was he set a deadline in private and a cutoff, and then he announced the project with that cutoff and saying, hey, so he announced the project. He says that if you want to participate in the survey, he posted this went wide all over GG Spaces.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to participate in the survey to provide evidence to him, it's like a pre-selection process that you had supported Gamergate in the past. So he had to have something, Twitter comments, Reddit posts, YouTube posts, could be anything, YouTube comment, anything that could prove that you were a Gamergate supporter, that you supported the movement. But then with that, he asked them a battery of different questions. After he had enough people, it ended up being close to 1,000 people.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good size, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the methodology for how he did his survey.
Okay. Okay, so Blitterball asks, are there any game reviews that are open with people disclosing their sexual relationships with others? I guess. Are there like anything like game reviewers, I guess, or game reviews that have disclosed things like that?
I don't even think they have to say sexual. They could probably just say that they have a close personal relationship with them. That'd probably be enough. As for ones who've disclosed that, I don't know specifically. I don't know how common the sleeping around with people you're covering thing was. There are obviously a lot of people that have close friendships though with people that they covered, and they didn't disclose that.
Yeah. Do you think that that's improved? I guess over the years, or like people disclosing like personal relationships with people at least, or?
Maybe a lot of these sites did eventually end up creating ethics policies, and there have been sites that have issued corrections. Deep Freeze keeps track of which sites have issued corrections on issues.
Okay.
So maybe it's gotten a little bit better. But I don't. Again, it could just be that they're really good at hiding that too. Like that's the thing about corruption, right? That's why you base things off like corruption perceptions indexes and stuff at the government level, so that you can, because it's a difficult thing to measure, because it's something that's deliberately hidden by nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, a lot of like even just like reviews for products are not disclosed that like they're just ads for those products, right?
Well, they're legally supposed to do that now. That's in part because of Operation UV, Operation Ultraviolet Light, this Gamergate operation, where people mass contacted the Federal Trade Commission to get that added. Though I don't know if Gamergate people were the ones who swayed the FTC necessarily.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I remember 17 magazine and like Cosmo would come out with these lists of like best cosmetics, best like makeup for this, right? And they'd have a list, and like it was pretty much just advertising those products. That was the whole purpose of it, was to advertise specific products. And so I don't know that they've really, I think some may have started to do that, but I don't know how prevalent it is to do that. So yeah. I guess chat, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I guess yeah, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It does seem to me, and this I think ultimately was the cause of Gamergate.
Mm-hmm.
It was this closure of the Overton window. And I don't know if you saw me talk about this on Wick Show at all, but it does seem like there very much was this clique within games journalism and within the indie scene, and that they didn't want to allow people to talk about the issues that were being raised, and they wanted to silence it. Sometimes that was through censorship. They encouraged Greg Tito, the editor of The Escapist. We have the emails from this, that from the Games Journal Pro email leak. They were encouraging him to censor all discussion on his forums. We do know too that it was censored on a number of other places too, including R Gaming at one point, 4chan, Neo, GAF, Reset Era, MZ later on, and 2 years later in 2017 on the GOG forums. We do know as well that it seems like no one, almost nobody from the mainstream media or from the games press reached out to anybody on the Gamergate side to get their perspective at all. Very, very few did, and there were notable exceptions. We can talk about the people who did. They just never attempted to hear that side of the story. Like they thought it must be inherently illegitimate, and just never even tried to even remotely present things in a more fair way or hear out the other perspectives. They also, it seems that they wanted to smear people as being misogynists and harassers so that they could dismiss them either because of concerns that they were raising about games journalism or because they just didn't like their politics. That they didn't agree with Sarkeesian, they didn't agree with some of the woke stuff in the games journalism. Some people didn't, at least, and they wanted to dismiss all of that and just say it's all just a bunch of misogynist harassers when that just wasn't true.
Okay. Somebody asked, how many people in total does he think were involved?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Moot did censor Gamergate on 4chan, then it'll move to 8chan. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
In the actions that provoke Gamergate, and who were they?
That's how I remember it anyway.
Well, like actions that provoke Gamergate. Gamergate itself, it's difficult to measure. Probably over 10,000 people. If we're talking about people who like actually talked about it more than once. As for like who was involved with like the Burgers and Fries IRC chat room, like I interviewed the owner there. It looks like it was about 150 people roughly in that chat room, where they were talking about the drama and also talking about like different developments and controversies that were going on with the scandal as well. That was about 150 people roughly.
Okay. I guess what do you think you've like? Is there any new information you think you've learned from doing these interviews? Are there any like misconceptions you think that you had about stuff?
Shoot. No, I think I mostly had it pretty right when I was involved with GG, which I didn't think I would actually. I thought when I went into this project beginning, for the first couple months, I was very much thinking that okay, this is gonna be a lot more nuanced. It's more nuanced than the Gamergate people say. It's more nuanced than the anti-Gamergate people say. But I'm having difficulty finding that perfect answer in the middle. I don't think the answer is in the middle from my research that I found, but that could change with additional information. So.
But I guess did you learn anything new from doing the interviews or not really?
I mean, a lot of specific things like Hogwarts Legacy Wired. They gave the game a 1 out of 10 in their review. Their review did not appear on Metacritic, it should be noted, but they gave the game a 1 out of 10 basically just because they didn't like J.K. Rowling. And the writer spends almost the entire article talking about how they think J.K. Rowling's a bigot and a racist and a transphobe and anti-Semitic. And that was basically the 1 out of 10 review that they gave. Didn't really have anything to do with the game itself. Seems like it does a disservice to developers, does a disservice to the reader, it does a disservice to gaming as an art form. I've also learned too that we might know now. Well, there's many hypotheses about why the Gamers Dead articles happened. I've interviewed many different people on this. I asked everybody this question basically. And there's a lot of different theories on it. One person, Liana Kirsner, she's a feminist media critic. You can interview her, by the way. She does a really good job. An interesting person. She talked about how she was working in the games industry at the time, and she thinks that the Gamers Dead articles, the reason they all came out at once, is because they were holding off on writing the stories originally at Zoe's request, and that because Anita Sarkeesian made a video that was unpopular, I don't remember which one it was specifically, but she made a video that was unpopular and being criticized. That's when they decided that they were going to publish the Gamers Dead articles. And I've read like a whole bunch of like other like stuff related to this, like all the time. It's like some new thing.
Why is Stardust so brain dead? Scientists have been desperately working to answer this question. I will be reporting on the answer as soon as it's discovered.
Part of it, though, most of it, I mean, like, I think most. I don't think I knew as much of like the specific details of every single situation that I've researched so far until I've started working on this book. Like I had like some level of knowledge. I did one book about it in 2019. I had over 200 sources in that book, and I think that mostly did a pretty good job. But I think it lacked detail in a lot of areas. So now this project, I guess I have a lot more detail.
Yeah. Glitterbell also asked, could he please provide a clear estimate of the dollar value of the damage done by the people criticized by GG? Can you please estimate the value of what they allegedly gained by their corruption?
I don't know about the exact dollar value. I don't think that's not really relevant, and nobody who studies ethics, I think, would tell you that in journalism. Whether if they're promoting games without disclosing their close personal friendship, it doesn't really matter exactly. How much money they gained or how much money someone else lost. It's a very clear violation of journalistic ethics. And also, like, we probably wouldn't be able to get that information as well. We do know that Zoe Quinn and Brianna Wu both made tens of thousands of dollars off of this specifically. Brianna was making over $10,000 a month at one point for several months because he claimed to be a victim of harassment from Gamergate.
Yeah, but again, if you take it from their side, for Brianna, like when I interviewed her, she said basically she lost her game studio, right? She, suffers from PTSD from around that time. Like we don't know what these, damages are, to their well-being and their quality of life, right? We don't know the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, and again, I don't really view them being especially relevant to the Gamergate conversation, except for the claims that they made about it specifically.
Let's see. Infallible Fowl asked for $2. And again, I'm just reading chat. How could Zoe atone for her sins in your eyes?
Again, I'm just an amateur historian just covering the topic. I don't know if she wronged people. She should probably apologize to them and try to make it right, if that's possible. But like again, that's between her and whatever religion she believes in and the people she wronged. So.
Yeah. Glitterbell asks, is any violation of journalistic ethics meriting national attention for years?
Not specifically, not like well, I guess it would depend on the case, right? Like if it was something extraordinarily high profile. But there wasn't just like any one specific incident. There were large numbers of different ethical violations that were uncovered during Gamergate. And also too, Gamergate wasn't just about ethics for a lot of people. For a lot of people, it was about artistic freedom as well, and trying to prevent the industry from gatekeeping. For some people, it was just a culture war too. So there's like multiple different camps. And some people wanted to focus more on like game industry related issues, like corruption with publishing and issues with microtransactions, broken games on release, things like that. There was a lot of talk about that as well. That was a faction that really wanted to go in that direction. But like for me, it was mostly under the umbrella of either ethics and games journalism or fighting against gatekeeping within the industry. To try, but whether that's through artistic freedom, anti-artistic freedom, or seemingly an ideological bias within the games press, or even within the IGTA. I'm sure you saw recently with the Leigh Alexander thing, which you might not cover that. I don't know.
That was the one who tweeted about you, right?
Yeah, she leaked my email that I sent to her for basically no reason.
Yeah,
she was one of the authors of articles. It was very polite. I think you'll agree. And,
I do have to say, like, chat, if you were not here, I think it was a day before yesterday, I covered this on stream. Basically, Hack reached out to this person, Leigh Alexander, to wanting to interview her. And he was pretty polite, and Tack and I, we might have disagreements on stuff, but like for everything, all interactions I've had with Tack, he's been very, very polite. He's willing to, engage with like more, dissenting opinions and stuff like that. And so, her leaking his email, which the email they sent, as well as his email.
Yeah, everyone is letting Brianna Wu lie. SFO is even called Wu's friend now. Like these people are they're totally bought out. I don't know what to say. Brianna Wu's bought her way into their social circle, and now no one can say anything bad about her. It's fucking sickening.
address seems kind of overboard, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if she knew that I don't consider doxing the email address was public information because it's on my YouTube channel if you click on the captcha.
Yeah.
I don't know if she knew that or not, but it just seems weird. Like, why are you leaking my emails to your 100,000 plus followers? It seems like kind of a dick move. And then the private contents of the email too, which like were nothing bad. And then she was encouraged in doing this too by a senior coordinator for the IGDA. He's a regional coordinator with the Independent Game Developers Association, basically cheering on this action and like more broadly, like seemingly excluding the voices of people based on very little information. Like this guy probably didn't know anything about me other than Leigh Alexander's tweet, and like, I don't see why I need to be excluded from the conversation. I'm an amateur historian and a journalist who's trying to cover this. I don't think that it looks good on the IGDA or this individual that one of their top leadership people was cheering her on.
Yeah, probably not. No, I don't think that's right. Let me just look here. I had another question, but I don't remember what it was. I guess I would have a question about like, the ways that like people had critiques of like the GG movement. So like the way that Brianna Wu, I think got involved in this, or not even Brianna, Anita. How did Anita initially like get involved in like the whole Gamergate stuff?
Oh yeah, change stuff from Brandon Lee. Let's not talk about Brandon Lee,
I don't
actually.
view Anita as being the same
Let's
as
not talk about that one. Never mind.
She's been making videos for a while actually, criticizing games from a feminist perspective. Like, more power to her. That's her right. That's freedom of speech. I'm all for that. And apparently, in 2014, late 2014, one of her videos came out and was criticized by a lot of people. Maybe some people sent death threats or something. I don't know. Obviously, that's bad. They shouldn't do that. They did that. And then the media went to her shortly after like, the Zoe thing, a few weeks later, and talked to her about it. And she said that Gamergate was responsible.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look through where I see her first, because it seems like for her, a lot of it was like I'm not a huge fan of Anita Sarkeesian, right? I just don't care about things that she cares about. But it does seem like she was kind of like voicing her opinion, and then got a huge wave of like harassment as a result of it.
Yeah, and she did provide a list of the people who were harassing her actually at the time. Though it wasn't Gamergate people. Out of like the 100 accounts that she listed, only like 2 or 3 of them I believe had used the Gamergate hashtag ever, and both of them had used it in their tweet, sending the mean message to her. And that was the only time.
But is that like the criteria for making sure that people are Gamergaters though, that they use a specific hashtag, or because I feel like that would be a pretty limited way to check association, right?
On Twitter, I think that's probably like the best way.
But at the time, that was how people did it. If you wanted to be in the Gamergate conversation, you were using the Gamergate hashtag. That's just how it was. Like we said, I've been interviewing with this dude, F-Bombs, he just floats around Twitch pod communities. You could literally probably message him. I think he's in like Food Shop's Discord server. He's probably in Stardust Discord server. You can literally probably just tag this guy, Tachyon Blue. He'll talk to literally anyone, so.
Go through and see what they were saying about it. Though, obviously there's people could go on like Reddit and read their Reddit posts and stuff too. Like, depends on like where exactly they're sending the mean message.
Yeah. It just feels like if we were going to judge whether somebody's associated with a movement or whether somebody's like backing a movement, like I just feel like a hashtag is maybe not the best way, because they could be involved in a bunch of different ways. They could be following the thing. Like if they send harassment to her based off of like a stance that they take on some of the Gamergate stuff, then it would stand to reason that like it's at least like loosely associated, right?
No, I don't think so. I think if you just do like even the most cursory research, you can generally find out if somebody was pro Gamergate or not. And I think the burden of proof on the people making the accusation is on them to demonstrate that the Gamergate people are the ones who are sending the mean tweets to Anita.
Mm-hmm.
We're called the bomb related to her event.
But you were just saying that like only 3 of them like use that hashtag, right? Yeah. So that's like that's all we know about the usernames then, right?
Yes, probably, yeah.
Maybe somebody should like look into that. I don't know. It's not me though. I'm not doing it, so I can't be.
And it should be noted too that studies have shown that the vast majority of people in Gamergate did not engage in harassment. There's 2 different studies on this. Well, there's a third one too, but the third one doesn't have like the best methodology.
No, I tend to agree with you.
It shows that like 0.66% one did, and one was 1.26%.
Yeah.
And they had different methodologies for looking at it.
No, I agree with you. I tend to agree with you. I think most of the Gamergaters probably didn't engage in harassment. But that 0.66%, right? Like nobody knows what that's like until you're actually like under it, right? And so that 0.66% can still be like a huge amount of harassment. If it's like one crazy person sending like 40 messages a day, and then you've got like like 15 of them, that starts to build up, right?
Yeah, maybe. But again, once the burden of proof is on them to show that it's Gamergate people, and if you use like the 0.66%, that was out of a base of about just under 10,000. It was 65 accounts. Mm-hmm. And again, like that, it might suck that you receive mean tweets from 65 accounts. That sucks.
Well, I don't think calling it mean tweets is like intellectually like honest, right?
The Brand Watch study was based on negative sentiment, so that is mean tweets.
Right, but like the harassment that they talk about is like having to leave their homes, being doxxed, things like that, right?
Well, again, for Brianna Wu's claim, that's not true. I don't know about the doxing specifically, but the leaving her home.
I can't verify or deny that. I do know Zoe Quinn also said that she had to leave her home. But like there are multiple people who did face like legitimate threats, right? Like the bomb threat you brought up, people tweeting guns, like stuff like that, right? And so I wouldn't say that I wouldn't classify that as a mean tweet. I feel like it's kind of underplaying it, right?
Well, actually, you could call it harassment if it rises to the level for sure. And like unfortunately, just being on the internet, you're going to receive mean comments, especially if you have like a large following. And I just interviewed Kukuruyo yesterday. He brought receipts on various people who were harassing him
Yeah, no, I know that some GGers got harassed too. I'm just saying that I don't think it's really fair to call it just mean tweets or mean comments, right? Because like again, if it's like a lunatic who's sending like 40 messages to you a day and like they're talking about how they're gonna like strangle you, like it's a little bit more than a mean comment, right?
Yeah, sure, I don't think people should do
yeah.
that. I also don't think that there's like good evidence that shows that Gamergate people are responsible for doing that.
No, again, I agree with you that it's like the vast majority of them are not doing that. But even if it was like 0.1%, right? If it's enough people, right? If it's enough lunatics who send like 40 plus messages a day, then yeah, it's gonna add up and it's probably gonna feel like a lot to the person on the receiving end, right?
Oh, yeah, it could. But again, that's the media does have an obligation though to actually report on the situation accurately and in as fair of a way as they possibly can to present the facts, and they didn't try to do that.
I think part of the issue is that like back then, probably figuring out whether all of the harassment was coming from one person versus like tons of people was harder to do. But I don't know. I don't know much about like reporting on internet stuff from back then, so that's just like an assumption I have, I guess. So.
Like, do you notice how she's like so resistant to having her opinion changed, yet has nothing. She has no reasoning, no evidence to back up like her perspective on this, but she is so resistant to criticism of it. Crazy.
Yeah, again, the media wants to interview Brianna Wu and talk about her fleeing her home. That's perfectly fine. They can do that. They need to include other perspectives as well. And I guess, given that that claim might not be true from Wu, they probably should fact check it too.
I guess. How would you fact check that?
Well, apparently you can quite easily because I sent you the evidence on that.
Yeah, no, I mean.
You stupid bitch.
I don't have the. Let me see here.
And this was all public information. This is.
Yeah, but none of this again seems to. None of this seems to say that she didn't get harassed though.
Oh, she probably did receive. Oh, she did receive the tweet from Pterodax. We do know that. And she probably did receive some harassment, and that's unfortunate. I don't support that, obviously. But that specific claim's not accurate.
Guys, shall I ask Tachyon to come on and give a lecture about Brianna Wu and just let him spit for like 20 uninterrupted minutes about everything about Brianna Wu and Gamergate? Should I see if I can get one to do that? Just make a video out of it.
Or doesn't appear to, I should say.
What? Which specific claim?
That she fled her home.
Okay, yeah, but you're saying to verify harassment, right?
Well, she at any point she's welcome to submit evidence or give it to the media or tweet it out or whatever she wants.
But how much would be enough for the media to be like, okay, this person's actually getting harassed, we verified it?
Well, I don't know.
Because for you, right, like for you, like one person wouldn't be enough, right?
Well, I mean, one person sending harassment, I do know that for sure. Like Pterodax.
Right, but again, like for her to claim that she's getting harassed, I feel like, and then you're saying that they need to verify that, like.
Well, they're going to claim that Gamergate people are doing so, yes.
Right, I guess, but how would you verify that?
Well, there's like any number of different ways. Like, what evidence do they have specifically saying that, okay, it looks like the Gamergate people do support harassing me, or even like, hey, look, here's a list of 10 Gamergate supporters that have sent me death threats, or anything like that, or even 5, or even 1, you know?
I mean, but again, like this is correlating with like around the time that Gamergate was happening and specific Gamergate events, right? So is it that like far-fetched to be like, okay, I'm getting all of this harassment around these specific events of Gamergate, I'm going to assume that it's Gamergaters that are upset with me?
Well, she probably shouldn't be making assumptions and going to the media with those assumptions if she's not sure. But when it comes to, like, I'm not even sure Brianna Wu was receiving really the harassment that she says, in some cases at least. Like, we talked about the Steam Greenlight thing. She says that there were hundreds of posts saying that her game sucks or that she sucks. Which, again, I don't consider that to be a form of harassment.
No, but if people are spamming it, if people are spamming it though, right, to the point where like new people who visit your page are unable to see like anything else, then yeah, it is kind of, it is kind of harassment. Like if spam is a form of harassment, so.
Oh, I mean, if they're spamming it, sure, I guess we can say that that's not good. But again, there's not even really evidence of this at all, even from her own testimony to you about why which I've cited before in the book you're going to do with her. It doesn't seem like there were these hundreds of posts, and the archives don't show that they exist.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'll look into it. I'll certainly look into it. But even if it weren't hundreds, if it were like 60, right? Like, probably it's still like alarming for somebody who's got like a little game dev studio, right? I guess
probably not. I mean, again, you're talking about releasing your game on a public platform. People are going to criticize that game. I think that's fun. I think that's within the realm of freedom of speech.
No, yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying specifically if it's spam, if it's specifically just spam on your page, just like hatred towards you, and it's just spam and there's no like actual like meaningful critiques or anything like that, then yeah, I would say that like that is reasonable to like be wary of and maybe even think that might be harassment, right? Because you are interfering with other people's ability to even have a conversation on that forum.
Again, I mean, it would depend very much on like a bunch of different factors. If you have like one person who's making multiple mean posts, maybe. But if you're talking about someone, if you're talking about like, oh, my game's been seen by 2,000 people because it's on Steam. Some of the people said the game looks like shit. Like, okay, so what? I don't really care about that.
Okay, that's fine. I mean,
like people want to criticize like my videos and stuff. I want to do that as well,
Yeah.
Part of putting a product out there in the world. Sorry.
Sure. Glitterbell is asking, says, ask him what he is doing to ensure his journalism is ethical.
I try to be very careful with the claims that I make and make sure that I have evidence and sources for them and that it's true. I try to make sure I fact check people about claims that they make as well to make sure that the claims that the people I'm interviewing are true. I have a list of editor's notes if I need to qualify something or if I need to correct a claim that somebody made that didn't seem to be accurate, or like, hey, look, this is an area where when you get to the writing process, make sure that you double check this. I also have sought feedback extensively from people on both sides of the Gamergate controversy. A number of anti-Gamergate people have been very helpful, actually. providing counter voices, and who I've reached out to help develop the questions even, to make sure that the questions are fair, that I ask people, and I've extensively sought their feedback really throughout the process, and they'll probably tell you that if you ask them, like Mr. Nada, Hannah
I do have a
Zamora,
question. Yeah.
Seattle.
I'm
Nine
sure.
Tails
Yeah, I'm sure. I would not look at Nine Tails as a credible source on anything, but I'm sure the other people are fine. The other thing I would ask is if you have this much skepticism for GGers who are claiming they get harassment, you're expecting this level of proof for the harassment. Do you hold that same standard for like pro GG people who claim that they received harassment?
I don't know if I did as much in the beginning of the project, but like, because like usually when people, they wouldn't say specific names. They wouldn't say like, oh, this person specifically harassed me. They would say something like, I got doxxed, right?
Mhm.
And they would talk about like the phone calls they received, and that's like something that's very difficult to verify. Now, I have asked people for specific sources on claims that they made too. Like Liana Kersner says that she received, well, she's been accused by Brianna Wu. Apparently, I haven't looked into this specifically, but she claims though. It's one of the things I want to fact check. And I've asked her the same sources. She actually said,
But no, I don't think anyone's going to dispute if someone says broadly, if someone had a lot of attention at the time and they say, I received harassment as a result of my participation in Gamergate, my participation in opposing Gamergate, I don't think anyone's going to contest that. Yes, you probably did get some out of abusive messages, spam, shit like that. Sure, if you had any amount, that happens when you get attention online. It's almost like a given, right? No one's going to deny that. But the issue with the anti-Gamergate people was that they would make specific claims about people harassing them or specific types of harassment happening at specific times, and then could not prove it, could not back it up. Like the whole Brianna would have to play home shit, or everything with Total Biscuit, who got completely fucking slandered by Brianna Wu.
some stuff, so I had to go through that. But she claims that all three of the main anti-Gamergate people, Zoe, Brianna, and Sarkeesian, have all said really bad things about her. And she
Is that harassment?
Again, I don't consider it to be harassment necessarily, because it's just like mean tweets. Well,
Right,
the Brianna
but
Wu
we're talking
maybe
about-
defamed her character actually, so that might like rise to the level she doesn't have receipts on that.
Right,
Brianna
but we
apparently,
could make the same argument about Brianna, right? That a bunch of people defamed her character too, right?
well, if they're saying things that are untrue, then yes, that
Yeah, but like again, a lot of this stuff is like still up in the air for a lot of people. So, I don't know that like the defaming thing is. I don't know that the defaming thing is the strongest thing here, right? What I'm asking about is like specifically, you said that when journalists report on Gamergate and they are listening.
Yeah, what's the ethics of not disclosing you're being paid by someone that you're talking about in an interview? I wonder. What's the ethics on that? I know that it'll get struck. If you even try to complain about something like that, it'll be shrugged off like, oh, you think streamers should have ethics, think streamers should have ethics. But yeah, I think you probably, if you're espousing opinions and running defense for a position, and you're possibly being paid by someone directly involved with the positions that you're stating, then yeah, I think you probably should. I call me crazy, call me a moral frog. I think you probably should say that you're being paid. To be honest, TBQH actually. I think you should be clear about that. TBQH.
Brianna Wu or somebody else talk about how they're getting harassed, that they should verify that that person is getting harassed. So I'm asking, like, if it's a pro Gamergate person who's getting harassed, do you hold the same standard for?
Wait, does she actually get paid by Wu? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I might have suspicions, but I wouldn't know.
Verifying that they actually were getting harassed.
I tried to. Like with the recent one, Kukuru yesterday, I asked him to show the receipts, and he did so. We went through them on stream. We even screen shared it. I did. So we went through the evidence. They weren't. Well, one of them might have been anti-Gamergate. The others were just people who were assholes on the internet.
So it
one
wasn't
of them might have
anti-GGers harassing him for the most part then?
Yeah, it doesn't. Well, but he says that that's a small sample too. So again, I don't know. I have to go through every single negative tweet. I even asked him to, do you have any evidence that these were anti-Gamergate people? But like some of the stuff too, like the Oron Dark Lord claim when he talked about the GG free for all, I did verify that accusation against that the GG free for all people were really assholes to him. You can find the archives of this too if you check the GG free for all forums. And somebody, I don't know if they were a GG free for all person specifically, but they did claim that he might be. Well, they made a claim against him on Twitter that was probably fake, just to fuck with him. It was a troll account.
Okay.
So I try to verify, but like unfortunately for a couple of these things, and again, they're not accusing specific people. They're just like, hey, look, this is what someone I don't know who doxed me, and I.
But they are claiming that it is. But they are claiming that it is anti-GGers all the time,
but
right?
I mean, we know that Wick has been paid by Brianna Wu, and I don't remember that coming up in his interview with Tachyon. So, we know that for sure.
Most of them are basically saying that they don't know who did it. They're pretty careful with. Though Oron does claim that the anti-Gamergaters on GG free for all were fucking with him. I don't know if that rises to the legal level of harassment, but they have said a lot of mean things about him on GG free for all, and have allegedly followed him around and stuff too onto other platforms. On Reddit.
Yeah.
We know that because Wick did 2 streams that he explicitly stated were sponsored by Rebellion Pack. He did a panel and a Vosh debate that were both sponsored by Rebellion Pack.
Yes. Let me see. There's a super chat here who's saying, women in video games should all have massive tits, and men should all have 5% body fat. So true, Tessie. Based. Glitterbell asks, do you feel the need to disclose your personal relationships or biases?
Yeah, I disclosed, like I said, I disclosed when I donated money to Liana Kersner. I also donated money to, actually, thanks for reminding me, actually, you got me. I didn't disclose that I donated to Deep Freeze, I completely forgot, so let me go in and add that comment right now, and I'll put that in the book as well. Or maybe I did mention it on here, I don't remember, but I think I gave him like $3.
Yeah. Okay, chatters, if you have any other questions, I think we've kind of, come to a, I guess, a decent closing point here. I know I asked some hard questions, I do appreciate you, being on the show, So yeah, I wasn't meaning to come off as like a hard ass. I just, I'm just trying to ask questions about it. So I do appreciate you answering them. So yeah.
No, be hard, be hard. You know me. I don't care. I'll take it personal. I think
Okay.
it's good that you challenge me on stuff I say.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Oh,
I gotta say as well, I'm gonna make this clear, okay, guys. He's writing a book about Gamergate. Sunday, no, this is his. Sorry, Sunday, you're a little bit out of the loop. This is his second book about Gamergate. This is his second Gamergate book. The first one came out in 2019. He came back for round 2 this year. He was like, you know what? I thought I was out, but they keep pulling me back in. What's your opinion? Should these Woo superheroes be disclosing that they not only work with Woo, but they have regular meetings and coordinate Progressive Victory? Not sure. Yeah, I think yeah, if you're talking about Woo's scandals and shit, you should say, hey, by the way, I'm getting paid and attend weekly meetings with Brianna Woo. And to be honest, even just for the sake for your viewers, you should disclose to them that when you're, hey, I am part of this thing where I'm getting paid by Brianna Woo. Because that might colour their opinion of your political takes and the things you say about Brianna Woo, and you absolutely should be transparent about that. I think it's crazy that they're not. So I want to make this clear, okay, guys. I am pro bothering. I am pro hassling. I am pro asking people if they're being paid and trying to make them clarify publicly. I am pro doing that. Okay, I just want to make it totally clear. I can't do it, because most of these people have totally blacklisted me, but I'm just saying I'm pro doing that 100%. Because I don't see that there's any argument for them keeping the shit secret. You absolutely should ask them. Respectfully, obviously. Are you being paid by Brianna Woo, Progressive Victory, a subsidiary LLC of Progressive Victory, or Rebellion Pack? Are you being paid by any of these? Do you attend weekly meetings?
This message brought to you by Anti-Gamergate.
Thank you, Brianna Bruhana Who. Thank you for the $4.20. But if you're going to do an interview and be asking questions about Woo, you should definitely disclose that information. Absolutely, 100%. I don't understand. I just can't imagine the argument for not disclosing it. It's literally just, oh, why do you care? Why do you care? It's just streamers. Why do you care? That's it. It's just acting incredulous. That is the only possible defense. Because I really just don't, it's fucked if you're taking money on the sort of implication that this is essentially your voice being paid for, and then for you to go out and state opinions to people without stating that your voice is being paid for. That's just fucking dishonest, rancid behaviour. Yeah, exactly. I'm a streamer. How dare you hold me to any ethical standards whatsoever? How dare you have any expectations of behaviour? I can't believe... Jesus. Wow. Wow, you really care? Wow. Okay. Wow. You're a loser, dude. You're obsessed. How can you... Why do you care? It's just streamers, bro. Just people talking about stuff on the internet. If you want to act like a political operator, you have to fucking, put up like a political operator. You have to fucking be a bit transparent. Be clear about your interests. Then you'll be asking streamers not to blow up their ex-wives to their massive audiences. I know, I've been saying, I know, I'm crazy. I'm like a fascist or something. I'm like a Nazi. Yeah, I don't think Adam and Stitch are necessarily taking Woo money. I think Adam and Stitch are just sort of, they're in the clique. They're in the clique. I mean, they might be taking it, but they certainly don't need it, if you know. Yeah, they're just in the clique, and so they're bought in. They're bought into the defense. Stitch and SFO may not have bought in like fully to the Woo shit, but they've certainly sort of like softened their position, and are essentially taking the let's let the past be the past sort of position. Even though Brianna Woo clearly has not changed in any way or taken accountability for any of the awful shit she did. It's the same with Carefulls. So people are like, oh, can't you just forgive Carefulls? But how do you forgive someone who still lies about, takes no responsibility for, and has done nothing to fix the terrible shit they did? Like, what the fuck? That's insane. If people want to be like, oh no, just forgive him, just forgive him. No, fuck you. And the fact you people speak out so strongly about this stuff and have taken strong positions on these people in the past, and then want to tell your audience to just, oh, you know, they're not that bad anymore. No, fuck you. That's so rancid. It's clear what the interest here is. That was the Tim Paul interview. I was out of town. What the Brianna Wu one? That was fucking awful. Brianna Wu was such a retard in that interview. Tim Paul literally just owned her over and over again.
I guess the last thing is like, it's like, why should people today still care about it? I guess.
Well, I'm not sure people today really should because it's a historical phenomenon, but I think there's a lot of things that they can learn about what happened because I think there's a lot of parallels today, both in terms of journalism having problems and in regards to the sort of culture war, quote unquote stuff, where unfortunately people aren't interested in having a discussion anymore. They're not interested in exploring the topics and discussing them, debating them. They want to silence people who disagree with them. I think that's wrong. I don't support that. And I think that's what happened to Gamergate people. And I think that's probably what happened to some of the anti-Gamergate people. So Edie Sarkeesian, when she received bomb threats at her event, I think that's an attack on freedom of speech. And I think that was wrong too. We don't know who did that, but obviously people shouldn't be doing stuff like that. Also, Gamergate events did receive bomb threats as well, SBJ Airplay, and 2 of the meetups did at least. Yeah. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of historical information that is important to preserve because the media did screw this up really bad and didn't try to cover it fairly at all. And because of that, a large number of Gamergate people basically got smeared, and the movement got smeared, and that wasn't good. And the truth of everything that happened would be lost if people like me, people like Raymond Wallman, the Airplay documentary filmmaker, who actually, I think he wants to come on your show, Star. I'm not sure if he reached out to you.
He may have, and I haven't responded to him yet, and I feel very bad. So I should talk to him. Yeah. No, I mean, I totally get that, and you know, I do agree with you. I don't think like you know, mainstream journalism had really caught up to the internet back then either, and so they, you know, to them it's like just completely foreign, and it's like really weirdos like harassing people, you know, when really, you know, probably a decent amount of people had reasonable concerns about ethics in journalism, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking to somebody recently. I'm not going to say who, it wasn't public, but it was an interesting conversation where I asked them like, well, we were talking about the harassment stuff, and they said, you know, I think that they did receive. I think it was public. I think it was the Kuku interview. He said that he doesn't doubt that they received harassing messages. But what he does say is that he says that he doesn't think that it was probably because of the Gamergate stuff specifically, or because of Gamergate people specifically, or that he even thinks that they did. Actually, he thinks that some Gamergate people probably did. He's probably right. I would be surprised out of a movement this big that some people did. But he thinks that people didn't like her because like she's a terrible person. And, like that's probably why she got a lot of the hate and why like the Kiwi Farms people still talk about her all the time. And that, you know, obviously that doesn't justify harassment. Nobody supports that. I don't support that. He doesn't support that. But like it probably isn't because like, oh, she doesn't like Gamergate. It probably is just that they pissed off a lot of people over the course of their online existence and also real life existence too. And the people feel like they've been wronged, or and people are just assholes on the internet too, and they want to like, get themselves internet vigilantes or whatever maybe. But
I think that's about Wu. Yeah.
Anything else? Any last words? Before we like, I guess, end the interview.
Tachyon showed his power level hard here. When I first started seeing Tachyon, I was like, oh my god, this is a freak. Doing a book about Gamergate, what a fucking loser. Oh my god. But he's impressed me in this one. Okay, it was a little bit showed through in the Wick conversation. But this time he was just like, he went for it. Maybe, I wonder if he even saw me talk about his Wick thing. And maybe adjust his approach for this one. Perhaps. Possible. I don't want to take credit, that's all. Because he did a good job here. Beckett and Stardust still off, or did that resolve? I think that is resolved on shaky grounds, is my understanding. I shouldn't say too much.
No, I mean, I guess thank you for having me on, Star. It's always good to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, I hope you have a good New Year.
Yeah, and let us know when, you know, the book comes out and all that, and, you know, yeah.
Cool. All right, well, hey, thanks again. Oh, I guess people, if they want.
Oh, yeah, shout yourself out. Yeah.
I don't mind.
Yeah.
You can find many of my book interviews on my channel, Tachyon Blue on YouTube. Tachyon Blue Gamergate book interviews. You'll be able to find them pretty easy. I'm also on Twitter if you want to reach out to me there. And my first book is Gamergate First Battle of the Culture War by Kevin McDonald, available on Amazon. And my second book, I have a title in my head, but I'm not going to.
Very mature, but horrible for us content fiends. No. You don't understand. This means there can be more blow-ups. This means we can have more of those in the future, right? This is what you're not seeing. The longer that awful relationship goes on and the more they go on streams together, the more content we get. Doesn't mean Beckett has to suffer through a horrific relationship, but for us, I'm sure he's willing to do it.
Say it out loud yet, and get trolled and have somebody copyright before I can publish it. So,
yeah.
But I do have a second book that's coming out. Hopefully next year we'll see. It's going to be a lot of work.
Well, I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you stopping by. I've linked your YouTube, guys. Go check Tack out. And yeah, thank you for joining. Have a great evening and Happy New Year's.
Yeah, I'll put up a Sunday video.
To you. So.
You as well, and thank you for being tough on me. I do need to read the Zoe post for all the way through.
I'm not. I wasn't trying to be tough. I really wasn't. It just kind of like came out that way, I guess. So I do apologize if it.
No, don't apologize. That's your role, right? Your role is to hold people's feet to the fire.
I guess so. Yeah, but still, thank you. So have a great evening.
You as well.
Thanks. All right, that was cool. That was fun, guys. Let's see. So, I hope you guys enjoyed.
Well, now is a great time to remind you, please like, subscribe, donate. buy a membership, gift a membership, buy a super chat if you can. Thank you very much. And let's have a look. We'll keep doing some woo hate, I think. We'll do a bit more woo hate. We don't like woo here. We've got a Sunday video linked by Bumba. Sunday was in chat a moment ago. Have a look at this quickly. It's timestamped. Sunday said banger after banger on this Keffel Zan thing, treating with the derision it deserves. Maybe if we run out of content, we'll go through and watch some of his Keffels and Zan coverage. I saw some of the start, but I've fallen out of it recently. It's obviously very fucking funny. Sunday's coverage is always a good laugh.
And I hate that she won't shut up and just be a rich lady with a political action committee that posts PR.
So this is Keffel's private Twitter account. I kicked Brianna Wu off my private so I can say she has incredibly bad political positions. I hate that she won't shut up and just be a rich lady with a political action committee that posts PR statements from her vacation home. She has Elon Musk syndrome. She not only needs wealth and power, but also the main character. Jesus. Okay. Well, that sounds exactly like Brianna Wu. Yep.
Statements from her vacation home. She has Elon Musk syndrome. She not only needs wealth and power, but also the main character. The point of all this is that what Keffel says in public is the direct opposite of what she's actually doing, of what she actually believes, and so on and so forth. It's just gross. It's gross. And here's the question. Why is she glazing Brianna Wu when this is what she actually thinks of her? Because she told a lot of, like, you know, people with audiences who saw this. It reached me, so it went far.
What I want to know is, why do these fucking retards think they can just post shit about people on their private Twitter accounts and not have it come back to bite them? Why do they think that? It's just insane.
Brianna Wu is a source of money and connections for her. That's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. So it's like, just that's all. Like, nothing this person says is real. It is all fake. All of it. She wants to get as much money as possible, and she wants to disappear. And frankly, power to her if she succeeds. But fuck all of you, I guess. How do you know for sure if this is Keffel's, though? It's Keffel's. Just trust me on this. It's Keffel's. Can you explain what glazing is? No, and I should probably not use that term. Somebody else in chat used it. It's internet speak.
Yeah, if that pops off, we'll go back and watch it afterwards.
I sit with my leather-bound books and my pipe weed. Like, is this news? No, but neither is this. None of this is news. None of this is news. None of this matters. That's the gross part about it. None of this matters. There's only one part about all of this that affects anyone's lives, and that's $100,000 that was fleeced from a community that could have actually saved the lives of members of that community that just disappeared. And instead of accounting for it and saying what she tried to do and failed, or where it ended up going, she's now using it as a battering ram to try and promote herself further to get more money for herself. It's gross. It's all just incredibly gross. It's incredibly gross. Yeah, my understanding of glazing was the cinnamon bun one. Is there another understanding? Oof. Oof.
People on the left. So Solio was saying, I enjoy modding for you, being able to fuck over
I know, right? It doesn't sound like immediately sexual, and it sounds like it could... I think it's been kind of taken away from a sexual context. I think when people say glazing, they just mean...
Oh, man.
They don't necessarily imply the image anymore. It's just become a part of speak, but whatever. I digress.
And any of his cockroaches is an added bonus.
Can I be honest? Like, I think those leaks are really fucking mild compared to, yeah, my ex-mod was a virgin and an incel while going after Hassan Piker in a Hasanabi manifesto. I think that's disgusting.
This was March 24th. You're a copy paste.
Please, I don't feel it's entirely been shown. She hasn't shown what she's done with the money, but she said it was for a legal fund. Unless she justifies that use, people are entitled to interpret that as they will. That's just how it is. I'm sorry.
So base.
I'm sorry.
Man, let's go. Dude, Sunday has just, he's snapped. He snapped. They've pushed him too far. Keffels has pushed his support for her just slightly too far, and he has snapped, and it's over. He's like a dog with a bone now. It's coming. I can feel it. Dark Sunday, yeah.
In Hassan's chat.
Like, it seems like the money went absolutely nowhere except for improving her personal lot in life, but she didn't say it was to make herself feel better. She said the money was a legal fund. Let me show you it again, okay? Just so that everyone's aware of, like, what people are upset about. Okay? This is the Clara Sorrenti Keffels Legal Fund. I need your help because I can't do this alone. I started a GoFundMe after being victimized by the London Police Services for being the victim of a hate crime. I need to move immediately. Good, that's a use of funds. Recoup my losses. Good, that's a use of funds. Remember when she wrote this, it was at $20,000.
But that's a catch-all. That's the thing. This is the most annoying thing about the whole GoFundMe shit. Is the recoup my losses. That is an untold amount of money. That is whatever she can claim. Yep. This is what lets her put all her money in her pocket. Exactly. Exactly. That is just a catch-all to say, I can spend this money however the fuck I want. Fuck you. Even though I present it as a legal fund, even though I talk all this game about helping for trans rights.
And to build a legal fund to protect my rights. I have been subject to emotional damages, financial damages, blatant violations of the Human Rights Act, and discrimination against me on the basis of gender identity and expression. I was also subject to unjust seizures that not only affected my livelihood, but has severely disrupted the work my fiancé is doing in their doctorate program. We know about that from the previous couple of streams. But see here. This language. Unjust seizures that only affected my livelihood. She got all of her computer equipment back. And maybe she replaced it immediately in the aftermath. Okay, fair enough. Let's say $5,000, okay? $10,000 of equipment. Let's run with that. $10,000 of equipment she replaced, which has the potential to impact whether or not my fiancé finishes their doctorate. Because there is no policy in my city against swatting, there's no guarantee this will not happen again, and my home is not safe. So, this is a legal fund. She cites specific damages, specific violations of the Human Rights Act, discrimination on the basis of gender identity and expression. She says it's a legal fund, okay? Like,
it's New Year's in half an hour for the East Coast, right? Is that correct, right? I'll do the countdown. We'll pull it up.
People are right to be like, what are you doing? It's been, when was this? This was, let's get the actual date here. Is there like a, oh, here we go. Update. The original moving goal was met, but the hotel I was staying at while looking for a new place to live was doxed. I am now in hiding. I am keeping the GoFundMe up, but all donations are going directly to my legal fund, which I will be using to seek justice. Donations are going directly to my legal fund, which I will be using to seek justice. If she doesn't do anything with it, that's okay. That's actually completely fine. But then if people ask, well, where did the money go? That's a lot of money. That is $101,333.
How can there be no policy about swatting in a city? I think it's illegal everywhere. I think what she's referring to is a procedure for dealing with it. They didn't have a written or set in stone procedure for how a police department should respond when there is a false swatting attempt.
That's a reasonable question. And if you refuse to answer it, and you've traveled the world, and you've partied it up,
it's obviously it's a bullshit achievement that she's got there. Like, obviously, yeah, there was media attention on swatting, so they're going to make a procedure for it after that. Yes, obviously, so I think it's a total bullshit achievement, and it's not the trans rights achievement that she was pushing for, where she was like, "I'm going to sue the police department for dead naming me" and all this shit, you know.
And you've gone
it's
for
a total walk
expensive
back.
trips and food and visits and da 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 da.
It's the same shit Destiny did, where he's like, I'm I'm going to get retractions from all these journalists, you know, I'm going to support Kiwi farmers, all this shit. And he's like, well, I cease and desisted Keffels and she stopped talking about me, so it's okay now. It's the exact same shit. It's the exact same shit.
And equipment and video games, etc. Then you actually are not in a place to blame, bluntly, people for saying you stole the money. Because you did not do what you said it was for. You said donations are going directly to my legal fund, which I will be using to seek justice. Now, if she seeks justice with that legal fund, I'll eat those words. And great. But then it begs the question, why did you keep this a secret? Why did you not simply say, hey, my lawyers have told me not to be public about any of the stuff that I'm doing, but I am using it, rest assured. Why not just say that? Instead, she said this. This is what she actually...
Which said recently, things take time. These things take time, which is always a cope of these fucking grifters, bro.
She said.
I said that this money was for suing the police, which I never did. If you read the full thing, I keep raising it. The reason that I did that in the first place was because I wanted it to be $100,000 from the beginning, but I didn't know if I would get that money. So when it kept coming in, I just kept raising the cap until I got there.
Okay, so there's an immediate problem with this. And the problem is that if she wanted $100,000 in...
The thing is, Yago, you can't call it a scam because she said to recoup my losses. So she can use the money however the fuck she wants. So what did she say here? Let's go back. Sorry, I missed it. I was reading chat.
If you read the full thing, I keep raising it. The reason that I did that in the first place was because I wanted it to be $100,000 from the beginning, but I didn't know if I would get that money. So when it kept coming in, I just kept raising the cap until I got there.
Okay, so there's an immediate problem with this. And the problem is that if she wanted $100,000 in particular before raising it, then that implies that she had a specific use intended for that $100,000. Maybe she was naive. Maybe she thought, I'm going to need a lot of money to sue someone, right? I'm going to need a lot of money to do anything legal, whatever that is. It's nebulous, right? It's a legal fund. Who knows what it's for? I'm going to need...
Stop this recoup losses cope. Why do you think that works? You can't do that in a contract. But I think that is just how it would work. I just don't think it invalidate. Wait, except the updated language said it was going directly to the legal fund, so it invalidated the catch-all in the paragraph. I'm actually a lawyer. I don't necessarily believe you off my bat just because you said you're a lawyer in my chat, but okay, I'll accept the criticism that maybe this wouldn't work. I'm not familiar with how fraud laws are set up or enforced in Canada. But I absolutely think people should attempt to make some kind of legal challenge to it, because there are people in, like, I know in the US that have been prosecuted for fraud, for GoFundMes that were used incorrectly. Makes me think of not financial advice. Yeah, it is that sort of thing, but I honestly don't know what. I don't know how it would play out. I'm a Supreme Court justice, and this would never hold water in my jurisdiction. Oh, see, I'm convinced. You've got the higher authority here. But maybe it is the case that she could get done on fraud for that. If she could, I hope she could. I hope someone brings a challenge to it. Seriously. I want nothing more. Trust me. I'm very skeptical and pessimistic.
At least $100,000. Okay. So, if that's the case, then she had a particular use for that $100,000 that she should be able to give an account of.
It's a Semitic community.
An account of
okay.
why it didn't manifest, why it didn't materialize. I was mistaken. Life happened. I had to move. That was more expensive than I thought. I was dealing with addiction. I was dealing with and among other things that meant I was spending in ways that were not sustainable. I had to travel a lot. It didn't go as far as I thought it would. Lawyers are more expensive than I thought they were. Whatever. It doesn't matter. All of that is perfectly fine. Nobody expects Keffels to be like the perfect steward of $100,000, but if you take it for a charitable purpose, if you take it for a political purpose, from a community that you in your own words have described as embattled and vulnerable and impoverished and sick and in need of help.
GoFundMe would rather delete their entire website than rule lawyer a trans woman who got doxxed by rightoids. I agree, but it wouldn't be GoFundMe challenging it, would it? It would be backers would bring a challenge to it, wouldn't they? They would have to bring a lawsuit or something. I'm very skeptical it will ever be successfully challenged. What I'm saying is if it was challenged and decided in court, it's very unlikely to use that clause as a catch-all for vacationing. Okay. Fair enough. I just don't see what the other defense would be, I guess.
And people ask what you did with it. You actually owe them an accounting of that. I think.
I said I started the GoFundMe after being victimized by London Police Service. I talk about the damages I've received and how my life has been disrupted, as that of my fiance. I never said that I was going to sue the police. I wanted to be very,
Well, she fundraised in Canada, I believe.
very careful with the language that I used.
I agree. I think she
Bad
did want to-
Empanada was talking about a lawsuit, but I don't know how much to put in that. It is Bad Empanada at the end of the day. But we'll see. We'll see. I honestly, I wish someone would challenge it. If only to see exactly what would happen. Hopefully to, you know,
very careful with the language
win,
she used. And the reason for that is because she thought she had an alibi, bluntly, because this is the language she says in the update. Donations are going directly to my legal fund, which I will be using to seek justice. Like, all of this is legitimate and fine. Like, legally, as far as I'm concerned, she hasn't crossed any boundaries. To say she stole the money is preposterous. Mostly because the money wasn't stolen, it was given to her. It was given to her for a nebulous purpose, but it wasn't so nebulous that if people are like, hey, you didn't use it for anything, what's going on? That's an inappropriate question. She said very explicitly here, donations are going directly to my legal fund, which I will be using to seek justice. Now, unless she characterized...
I should start a GoFundMe to sue her. The money will go to my legal fund for me to move to wherever the fuck she lives and to recoup my losses. It's a very threatening message, despite there being no actual threat involved. Yeah, it sounds like you're going to hunt her down. It sounds like you're going to hunt her down and steal her money. You're going to Sam Hyde style enter her home.
Is it tomfoolery? Oh, hi Tom. Unless seeking justice means streaming about Hasanabi's mods, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
What I do see is someone being
so
extraordinarily two-faced, saving and keeping a record of literally any, not even like hostile interactions, just any interaction that didn't go her way in a folder so that later on these supposed friends could be milked for drama cash afterwards. And then statements to the effect...
Okay, come on now, but like almost every streamer is going to have like folders of kind of like dirt or stuff they could use at some point. That's just the game. Come on. You should assume everyone is operating like that. Sunday, you've got folders like that. Be honest. Come on now. We know you've got folders like that. I know you've got access to bugs to the Bugs Woo folder. I'm pretty sure you do anyway. Come on now.
That she just wants to take her money and run. She doesn't care about you. It's a con. And here we are with her parading around her ex-mod's virginity on a Hasanabi stream. I don't know. I don't know what she thinks this is. So what do you mean by fleece then? I mean, took the money and was disingenuous about it. So, like, that's all this is. She's going to keep on doing this forever. Until she burns out. And she's going to take a break. She's going to run out of money. She's going to come back. She's going to do it again.
Amazing. Great video, Sunday. Awesome.